I have given a name to my pain. The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham.
You don't really think you'll win, do you? I'm Batman.
Hello and welcome to episode 153 of the Batman on Film podcast. BOF is the sponsor as well as a proud member of the Batman Podcast Network. Check out all the shows over at batmanpodcastnetwork.com and follow our Twitter at BatPodNetwork. If you're listening to us on iTunes, if you take the time to rate and review the show, we will read it on the air. Batman on Film is also now on Patreon. If you like what we do here at BOF, whether it's the podcasts, vlogs, or the website itself, anyone help support us if you're so inclined, please head over to patreon.com/BatmanOnFilm and sign up. I am the host of the BOF podcast, Ryan Haas, and on tonight's show, we are going to celebrate Batman Day 2019, which is Saturday, September 21st, 2019, when this show hopefully is posted. And we're going to celebrate Batman Day in style by doing what we think we do best, which has some sort of lists of stuff to talk about. And here to do that with me is a pretty awesome panel of pals. First of which is Ryan Lauer. How are you?
Hey, I made it. The universe did not want this podcast to happen, but we said, hell no, it's happening.
Yeah.
So, hooray. We did it.
We said, oh, hell no. And then,
oh, hell no.
And
curses.
Well, I was about to say curses to everybody on my text list. This show shouldn't have happened, but it did. And it's going to be better because we've got some great guests. And we also have Rob Myers here with us tonight.
Hey, how's it going? BOF.
BOF Faux Life.
Faux Life. Faux Show.
BOF. And the last boffer that we have is Mr. Paul Hermann.
Hello. Hi. I'm back.
I am so excited for this panel and this show tonight.
It's actually pretty good, by the way.
I've been hoping I get to hear that live, and that just made my night. Okay, I'm going to bed. Good night, everyone.
All right. It's been fun, Rob.
Thanks.
Oh my gosh.
I want to. So Lauer's idea. This whole show is kind of Lauer's baby. And before I'm going to let him take the stage and kind of explain what we're going to do. But before we do that, I got to ask Paul to give us an update on this Batman Steelbook situation because that thing came out this week and it's just in time for Batman Day, so it's appropriate. And
yes.
You gave us part one of this on the last show you were on. So
the Batman Steelbook saga.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so it gets more interesting.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, there's a new wrinkle that you don't even know about yet, Ryan.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, no, I think I did tell you. Maybe I did. Was it about how okay, so as people know that my wife complained that I bought the Steelbook back in like April and it's been pending on her account for months. Right? And she's like, why is this $100 still here? And why is it, I'm like, I told you I bought it like 3 months ago and keep giving me a hard time. Well, here's the thing. Because she doesn't listen to podcasts, I can explain this to everyone. So they're gonna like this. I mean, this won't make a lot of sense maybe, but just you guys can stop me and make me re-explain if I have to. So we all know that Triple Force Friday for Star Wars happens on October 4th, right? Hold on, there's a method to my madness. Well, Joker also comes out that day, and I'm like, gosh. Okay, I'm like, oh man, and that Tuesday before, 4 Marvel 4Ks drop.
Oh yeah,
all in that one day. On the same freaking day. So what do I do? This is what I do. I'm thinking, crap, how am I going to spend all this money in 1 week without her getting super pissed at me? Wait a minute. I thought about this. The pending thing is going to actually end up helping me instead of hurting me. So this is what I did. Because I got an email from Best Buy saying that your pre-order item is going to be ordered soon. It basically is warning me that it's going to be coming in. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. If I order these movies now, and then the Batman movie gets like drops off the next day and she doesn't check the account, she won't really notice
amount of money that's spending.
It's like maybe $20 difference.
It's like Indiana Jones swapping something out for something
Yes,
else.
yes, exactly, yes. So I was like, I got that. Guys, I'm not kidding you. I'm getting ready for work. She'd already gone. I'm getting dressed, and I'm checking my emails and went, wait a minute. And it popped in my head. I'm like, I'm doing it right now. So I went and pre-ordered those 4. I'm not kidding you. Pre-ordered those 4 movies, and I'm thinking, like, let's see what happens. Spoiler alert, haven't heard anything yet. I'm in the clear. What's to say that? So anyway, but karma did end up getting me in the end because I thought, okay.
And this is what we've been texting about for days.
Yeah, me and Ryan here have been texting about this forever. So like a normal person who orders from Best Buy steelbooks and thinks, or anything from Best Buy, you figure they have great service when it comes to shipping things. I usually get it like a week early almost.
Bullcrap.
Yeah, exactly. So
if you're lucky, if you're lucky, if you order something that comes out on a Tuesday, you'll get it the previous Saturday. If you're lucky.
Yeah.
I got glass like that.
Yeah, I got The Force Awakens on steelbook early. I've gotten plenty of things early, which has been like fantastic. So I'm thinking, this is great. I got my Ghostbusters 2, 1 and 2 4K set steelbook. Got Saturday before. I'm like, I'll get Batman, no problem. And then I see the things that says, okay, it's being shipped. I'm like, okay, cool. And then on Saturday, where I expect to kind of get an update, like, it's in Seattle. No, there's nothing. And I'm like, crap. And then it says expected delivery date Thursday. I'm like, well, that's weird because usually it should be on Tuesday, right? No, every day, nothing, no updates, just arrival scan in Indiana or where the hell it was, right? So I'm thinking like, what, are you kidding me? I didn't get my steelbook until today, Thursday, the frickin' 19th,
2 days
man.
after it came out.
So mad. And I'll be honest, I had no idea. Because I one thing I try to do in my life, I used to spoil myself rotten with everything, meaning like learning what's on this, what happens in this, and what looks like. But now in my later years of being 37 years old, I've decided to say, you know what? I'm going to let things surprise me now because it's just more fun that way, right?
I'm there with you.
So I had no idea what the steelbook was going to look like, really, or how it was going to be presented or anything. And I got to tell you, I posted some pictures on my Twitter at Hermann22 with 2 N's, aka P-Thug. Sorry, shameless promotion. And those pictures of me gawking at the Steelbook box set are 100% authentic because I was blown away how amazing it looks. It's incredible.
It's pretty awesome.
It looks fantastic. I'm like, it's
a Steelbook with Steelbooks in it.
Yes! It's like, it's better than that. It's a 10. It feels like it's a 10. I'm a tin collector. I love tins. Tins are great, aka lunchboxes, but that's fine. You can call them that. Call them that. But anyway, it's a phenomenal box set.
I'm looking at this picture right now. I think I see a tear in your eye.
No, I'm like blown away how amazing it looks, and I'm stoked. I texted a buddy who's a music buddy, and I'm like, he's into comics a little bit, but I said, hey man, I just got Batman on 4K and I'm looking for someone to watch it with. Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'm like, sweet. So I'm going to watch 89 tomorrow in 4K. I'm super excited.
Oh man.
So yeah, I finally got it. I cannot wait to dive into it. It's a beautiful set. It's worth $100. I really do think so. I mean, I have the Spider-Man 4K box sets, and it's not even close to as good because it comes in a plastic case, and it's just like
to fold it out.
Yeah, it's like it's not cool. This thing is amazing.
It's the kind of set that you definitely would put on top of your bookshelf or movie shelf instead of like on the shelf, which you can see on the BOF Instagram page because that's where I posted my set.
Did you guys?
I've got it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a really quick question. This goes for all of you. Did you guys buy the DVD, Blu-ray, and the 4K set all individually, all the box sets, or did you go DVD, skip Blu-ray. One? Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, you know what I mean.
So. I think you know the answer to mine.
Well, yeah, I already know you buy everything. I get it.
No, I don't buy everything, but I mean, I got
90% of everything.
The original. So the weird thing about this whole release thing is that normally when collections like this come out, they'll release the collection first because it's the bigger, more expensive. You have to buy this to get everything set, and then later they'll release individual copies. But they flipped it for this one, and they did it like a month apart. So a few months ago in the summer, the 4 Burton Schumacher Batman films came out on 4K, and I was not going to buy those, but Bill needed somebody to review them for BOF, so he sent them all to me to review for the site. I would not have bought them otherwise because I was waiting for the Steelbook, but Bill sent them to me, so I was able to acquire them early, and then I also bought the Steelbooks.
Well, because I bought the DVD set, which is one of my probably favorite sets.
Oh, you're talking about like the original DVDs?
Yeah.
Oh, I've got all of that. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because here's what I did. I'm curious because when the DVD to Blu-ray thing happened, I was like, ugh, because that box set's amazing. The original DVD. Oh yeah, the original DVD set's incredible.
That original DVD set that was so I bought the original individual DVDs, and then that was like in the early 2000s, I don't know, 2002.
You were like 16 years old, probably.
Oh yeah, something like that. Yeah,
you were like. Yeah,
but then I was my senior year in high school is when Batman Begins came out. It was 2005, and it was on this one day in October in 2005 is when
October 18th, 2005.
That sounds correct.
Yep, that sounds about right.
On that day, Batman Begins and that Batman Anthology DVD set came out on the same day, and I was sick from high school that day. But still able to drive to Sam Goody. I was a senior in high school, and I picked up all that and binge watched it all, that day.
Okay,
so yeah, I got all that stuff.
All right, really fast. I forgot that Batman Begins came out the same day because I also remember for those Star Wars fans, I bought the Battle for Endor and Caravan of Courage DVD the same day as well. I'm not kidding you. That came out the same day. I remember I was like, because I had to get that too. I mean, I was a giant Star Wars fan, obviously.
Well, yeah.
And I was like, I'm like, and that's been like a huge purchase because that's out of print, and you have to buy it online now, or I have to buy them on through Amazon only. But anyway, yeah, the DVD box set. I'll be done with. I'll say this: when I love that set, and when I had to buy the Blu-rays, I'm like, ugh, I want to buy the Blu-rays, but I don't want to buy the box set again. It's too expensive. Thank the Lord for Best Buy, because Best Buy gave us that really, really cheap, just the 4-disc Blu-ray Batman set. It was cost $15, and they put every special feature on it, but it's like there's no menu screen. It's just like one giant screen with everything on it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Is it the Blu-ray reissue of the DVD set that looks like the DVD set, or is it something else?
No, it's literally just a one box, like it's a regular Blu-ray box that has 4 discs on it, and it's got it's got all the movies in there. And when you put the thing in, it automatically starts the movie. But if you hit menu, it has everything on the screen. Everything. It's just one big bleh. And then you can. It's crazy.
No, I didn't get that version.
$15. That was a well spent $15, my friends. So anyway, I was just curious if anyone else bought that.
Can I tell you what I did?
Yes.
I bought the Blu-ray. Geez, I think I sent you guys a picture of it. The anthology, 89 to 97 DVD box, and I bought it the day it came out. I didn't have any other versions of it other than VHS copies of it. So when the Blu-rays came out, I'm like, I'd really like to go to get the Blu-rays, but I already have the box set. I don't need another version of the same movie. And my wife's like, you could go to Half Price Books and sell the DVDs, but keep the box. So I sold the original DVDs that went inside the box and then went out and repurchased the Blu-rays. So now I house the Blu-rays in the DVD anthology.
Dude, that's a brilliant move.
Wait,
that was a brilliant move.
Wait, so, you have the big Blu-rays in the small box?
Yes, I have so it doesn't quite fit. Like if you have the top on the box, you should have like the silver bat. Oh. So the Blu-rays are a little smaller than a DVD size box. So the top
like
of the
not
lid,
as tall.
Yeah, not as tall. So
but they're thicker.
But they're a little thicker, but they do all fit inside of the anthology cardboard clamshell box. So I go to say that to know I bought when the 4Ks came out, I said, I'd really like to get all of them together in a steel book. I'm not going to buy them individually, but I did break down and bought Batman 89 singly, early. And then I'm telling myself, all right, I will get the steel books. They look great. And now I'll just have 2 copies of the 4K,
4K89.
For 4K89, yeah.
Dude, you should just give it away for like a giveaway on your show or something, man.
I should do that.
Here's my thing with the steelbook is I was so excited of the fact of the steelbook and everything. I don't like the design. I think the prints on them are cheap.
It was that versus the single discs, and those were pretty dang contentious.
Yeah.
I mean, at least like remember that the anthology set you guys were just talking about. It's like the bat symbol.
That was the start of. That was the beginning of the end.
Matched.
Well, they did.
At least the movie.
On the DVDs they did, and then when they got to the Blu-rays, they were changing the cover art.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then it just got worse from there.
It doesn't. I mean, it doesn't matter because you're buying it for the movie, but it does matter because I'm a nerd and it needs to look cool.
Yeah.
Lauer, I'll give you this. The steelbook designs they're not the most inspired cover art. I'll give you that. But at the same time, just like what Ryan says, I feel that when you compare this overall design to like the regular 4K box set art, I'm like, it's like they're almost equal. But then they obviously get because they're the actual steelbook. They win because they're beautiful, like they look amazing still because it's steelbook. So I feel like it's a win-win. But I actually do love the actual box design too of the actual set. I think it's perfect, personally.
And in a weird twist, the steelbook set is actually, I thought this would flip, but the steelbook set is actually cheaper than the standard box set that's got all four.
Honestly, guys, I think this will be a set. I have no idea if this will happen, but I think this will be a set that you guys will regret if you guys don't buy it. I have a feeling. I have a feeling. So if you guys have the money, you have the money. But if you guys do have the money, you guys are huge Batman fans. Don't waste time with Star Wars.
I think it's literally $89, like Batman 89. It's
Here's
$89.
The thing: I have an extra kidney. Just get rid of it.
That's fair.
Boom.
That's fair.
Done.
Give blood? I don't know. I mean, like, I don't know. You say you don't give blood for free. It's like, I need money. I'll give you my blood.
I need plasma.
I need Batman.
Yeah. Do you have Batman? If you have Batman, I will give you blood for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Get them. Read my review on BOF. Did you read it yet, Paul?
You've already told me. You are my walking review already,
that is
Ryan.
True.
So
I'm a walking.
See, that's why I feel bad. Like, because Cloud, can I just be real with you? Cloud always like, hey, did you read this? I'm like, Chris, can you just tell me? Because like I can't. The reading's hard, man. Like and he's always like, oh, come on, man. I'm like, all right, fine. Because I love Cloud. I try to read stuff, but honestly, reading's a lot of work. I'd rather just listen. So I want to be like, just do it on a podcast.
You read so much comics, though. Or at least, like, it appears that you do nothing but, like, read comics. Like,
that's my reading time. Is reading comics with pictures.
Oh.
I don't want to read
I
words.
see. If you're reading, it's got to be comics, not
That's an
not
idea
like
for
content.
BOF. We start doing our reviews in comic book form.
A comic book of you typing a review.
Yeah.
Dude, I actually really love this. This is great.
If I could
Lauer,
draw-
you got some good ideas. I like this.
You know what? It's my curse. Curses!
Curses. Well, speaking of Lauer's great ideas, why don't you...
segue!
Woo! We're on fire tonight. Why don't you kind of tell us what we're about to do here and what this idea of yours is and maybe why it's taken so dang long for us to do it.
Well, let's see. The idea is basically lists. Because I like lists. People like to click and hear and read people's lists so that they can argue with them on how their list is incorrect. But then there's also people that enjoy others' lists, and it brings us all together. And I thought, hey, let's do lists about Batman. Favorites this of Batman. Favorite this, favorite this, favorite this, favorite this. So I came up with the idea a long time ago, expressed it to my BOF brethren. And we had ideas of doing the show, and then you name it, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, to where it kept having to be postponed. And then we thought, actually you thought, Ryan Haas, you know what?
I decreed.
Let's do this for Batman Day. Let's celebrate Batman and pick the best of the best for Batman Day. And I said, yes, sir. Sir, yes, sir. Let's do it. And so I have created now, because we couldn't do a 15-hour well, us four could do a 15-hour podcast on it.
Yeah, easily.
But I don't know that how many would listen to the whole thing. So we have a couple of categories, and we didn't get too crazy. I feel like we could come back and we could do like Batman List Part 2, Batman List Part 3.
Oh my gosh, this could go on forever. Yeah, it could be its own podcast.
And like Ryan says, this is always like one of those evergreen shows. You can go back to it 10 years from now and go, oh, that was...
I mean, once Matt Reeves' The Batman comes out, we could be like, hold on, we need to update the list, okay? So
yeah.
I've got
so
a couple,
what we're doing is like,
I think seven categories right now, just for tonight's show. And also, we don't know how much we're going to talk, because all four of us like to talk.
Yeah.
So 7 topics could... it could last a while.
But see, the interesting thing about this is that it's instead of each of us having a list for each category, it's just we have the categories and one of us has one thing per category.
Yeah.
So we are almost.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're collectively making the list.
That's true.
Kind of.
It's true. It's
like
definitive.
BOF. It's like BOF's definitive podcast list of the categories.
It is final. As soon as it comes out of our mouths, it's final. Non-debatable.
And the other stipulation that I put on this is that when you start to bring up these categories, nobody's answer can match. So even if if everybody's favorite, well, I'll spoil one of the categories.
No, don't spoil. Don't do it.
Oh, okay.
Don't do it.
I won't spoil it.
How about this?
If
my favorite episode of Batman Animated Series is the episode
Underdwellers.
Yeah, there you go. With
we
Rat
all
King.
can't say we all can't say the Underdwellers.
Damn it!
Yeah. So
we have some variety.
How this is gonna work, I have no idea, but I'll go with it. We'll just try it.
It's gonna work. It's gonna be perfect. My guess, and I will let you guys know
exactly
which. Yeah, later on, I'll let you know. I feel like there's gonna be overlap.
For sure.
Overlap on.
We're talking about Batman.
In one category specifically.
What does that word mean?
All of ours.
Overlap. This is gonna be the best podcast. I just want you to know, this is the best thing ever. I'm not even joking. Like, this is like a blast. I love this.
Who's gonna start? Haas, are you gonna start? We shouldn't go like, Haas, you're first every time, I'm second every time. Like, we'll mix it up.
We should mix it up. So I can kind of give you the reins for this, Lauer. So yeah, you can like introduce the category and then just toss it.
You're first.
It. Well, he didn't say what the category was.
You pick the category.
Oh, okay. You want me to pick the category?
Or I'll pick a category.
No, you just pick the categories and then tell the first person.
Please
you tell the people
out.
to do it. No, God, no.
Oh God,
all right.
This is staying in.
Okay,
keeping it in.
We're gonna play Bamboozled.
Yeah.
The first category, and then I'm going first because I have to say this one. So I'm cheating. Is favorite Batman comic, single issue, or graphic novel?
Or graphic novel? Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So because somebody could say like, no, actually, it was this issue. That's my favorite. Or this long story is my favorite. And I chose to go first on this one because mine is...
Don't you dare.
I know he's going to say it.
The Long Halloween. My favorite, I live and breathe by The Long Halloween. That is my favorite Batman story by far. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love the Absolute Edition. It's the first Absolute that I ever bought. It was the first time I ever spent more than $15 on a comic book. Which, when you're a freshman in college... and you're spending $47 on a book, it's not wise.
I can see you say that. Just that.
Oh my God, Mom! Guess what? Guess what I used my college money on? My big old Batman book.
It won't even fit in my backpack.
It won't fit.
This is heavier than all of my textbooks that I'm not taking to class.
What is that big giant textbook? That's actually my Batman book.
But it is a sacred text.
That's my coffee table for the Long Halloween Absolute Edition. That's what it is. Yeah. I don't need to go into explaining the Long Halloween.
Please don't.
Okay, thank God.
We'll have to do
Chapter
a show.
1, Halloween.
Chapter 2, Easter. So yeah, we've mentioned this before. We'll definitely have to do an episode about this, especially because it keeps being brought up as a influence on Matt Reeves' Batman.
Is this movie going to have days of the month or months every 20 minutes or something like that?
No, just I mean, people in terms of like the tone.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm being sorry.
All right, so my favorite is The Long Halloween, and I say Ryan Haas, go next.
Well, I am scrolling to figure out which comic I'm going to do. I think I've said this before in probably the last Batman Day show, and I'm super unoriginal, but, if you're listening and you know the comic that I'm about to say because you heard me say it before, then that just means you're a giant Ryan Haas fan, and for all two of you that know that, thank you very much. And
two giant Ryan Haas fans.
Yeah. So I'm going to pick a single issue, and whenever anybody asks me, like, I just want a single issue of a Batman comic, that's kind of either underrated or kind of not talked about too much. Well, first of all, I would say go read anything that Paul Dini wrote in his one and done Detective Comics run. Like he's got for about a year he did like it was like single issues. You just pick them up, read it. It felt like more adult in continuity episodes of the Batman the Animated Series.
Yes.
And those were just great. But the comic I'm about to say is not that. The comic I'm about to say is Batman Confidential number 49. Now, I reviewed a lot of this series for BOF back in the day, and Batman Confidential number 49 is not exactly part of kind of what the series was about, really. Like the series was originally like this multi-issue arcs, like 4, 5, 6 issue arcs of like uncovered things from Batman's past. That's where we got some kind of weird arcs about, like, I think the first arc was about Batman's first meeting with Lex Luthor. Then we got like a Joker origin arc, which was really weird, and all that kind of stuff. But way later on in the run, there was this, they needed like a fill-in issue, and that ended up being Batman Confidential 49. It's called Work That's Never Done, and basically it's just a day in the life of Batman, and you have to kind of explore, and you read it from like Batman's perspective. It's like all the things that Batman has to do in one night on the job, and it's just really great because it gets into the details, the minutia, just kind of like what it's like to be Batman. And it does it all in like 22 pages or whatever. And it's got that great Andy Kubert cover. No, you cannot read it in the DC Universe app, unfortunately.
I know. Yes. I just looked and I was like, okay, Batman Confidential's in here. What the?
I know. There's a lot of them, but not that one. So go to your comic store. Maybe it's on Comixology, but yeah, it's totally one you can probably just go to a comic store and look in the back issues and hopefully find.
I have just canceled DC Universe.
Dang, dude.
Failed me.
So that's always my thing, because it's just a cool little issue, and it's always stuck out to me. So there's my
bravo on Unique. Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. All right. Let's go next to Rob Myers.
Well, anybody that's listened to my show, Ryan should definitely know what my what mine is.
Yeah, I already know what it is.
Yeah, it is my The Dark Knight Returns for Robin fans.
Oh, but not The Dark Knight Returns. Have you ever read that?
Yes, I have.
You did? Are you sure? You said how you started it and then you kind of fell asleep or something.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
What? Seriously?
I don't like a lot of Elseworlds.
Oh, you're one of those. Gotcha.
I'm one of those. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay,
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. I get it.
But I have since read it. It took me 6 months to read it, though.
Holy hand grenades.
Yeah, I just was like, oh my god, this isn't going anywhere. Anyway, don't at me. But I understand the history of like why that book is so important for Batman fans. It's not like I don't get it. But my choice is A Lonely Place of Dying.
Yes.
So
I knew that was happening.
Yeah, that's no surprise. It's a story that introduces Tim Drake, which goes to the podcast. But that also, for people that may have not read it or don't know the story, that yes, it introduces Tim Drake, but it really puts an underline of why Robin is so important to Batman and why Batman is so important to Robin, and how those two really work together. For people that say, oh, there doesn't need to be a Robin, we can't make Robin, work. This story really states what that is, that Robin is the moral conscience for Batman. It's the literal embodiment of like, I'm not going to allow this to happen to another child. And then just through Bruce Wayne being in the circus, it causes, Dick Grayson's parents to, die on the trapeze. And then you go through the multiple Robins, yada, yada. It's that person that, rather than it just being the singular mission that this is happening to Bruce, he now has a partner that goes, it's literally this person that I am trying to protect and was trying to protect, that you can call it his greatest failure or whatever through Jason, but it really underlines and makes Tim Drake ask the question to Batman of like, why did you start this to begin with, and why Robin is so important to you. So that's my choice.
Well done. That was my first comic. Actually,
nice.
Was my uncle got it for me for my birthday, the graphic novel or the collected trade paperback or whatever.
Awesome. Is this the one that had both? Both
of them on the front? Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sweet. Let's bring it on home.
Oh.
P-Thug!
All right. So, this is going to be, I'm not trying to be predictable, and I'm not trying to be like, oh, my favorite, what's a good example of this? Like, my favorite Who song is My Generation or something like that. Something like really stupid where like, it's like, obvious or whatever. But there's a reason for my choice. Okay.
I chose The Long Halloween, so.
Yeah.
Well, right. But I mean, like,
how predictable can you get?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, but bear with me.
Okay.
So my favorite thing is, if I'm going comic book at this point, is going to be The Dark Knight Returns. Now, there's a reason. I don't say that because it's like, oh, it's the quintessential whatever. I know it is, but I actually have a very long history with The Dark Knight Returns, because when I was growing up, I have an older brother. He's 6 years older than I am. So he was into comics and stuff, a much more grittier side of comics when, growing up, or, when compared to me. When he was 12 years old, I was 6. So he was right when The Dark Knight Returns was like hitting like its main thing in like the late 80s. Mm-hmm. And I remember him buying, or I'm not sure he bought or borrowed or something. But he got the original graphic novel, like not the individual issues, but the actual collected black graphic novel, and brought it home. And I would look at it, and my understanding of Batman, and I'm not joking, was literally this: was my Super Friends Batman action figure. Okay, I had that, and I'd see him on like Scooby-Doo and stuff like that. And I would see him on the 66 show here or there, but mom, oh, it's Batman. And not joking, The Dark Knight Returns, because my brother had had the graphic novel, and I would look through it, and I loved it. I loved comics as a kid. Obviously, people who know me, I grew up on Spider-Man comics and reading Spider-Man and all that stuff and Secret Wars. But in like 88, 89, I remember my brother bringing that home and looking at, and the art was a different book. You could tell. And even at a kid who could barely read anything, I could tell what was going on through the pictures of Frank Miller's storytelling. And I've always loved the art. Carrie Kelly, I always thought a female Robin was always very natural to me because of Frank Miller, because I'm like, oh yeah, Robin can be a girl. Or the fact Robin could be anybody was because I knew there was the original Robin, because I had a Robin action figure as well. And they also had Carrie Kelly. And so I just grew up on that. So when Batman 89 happened, I looked through his graphic novel like crazy, because I loved Batman. Me and him were getting so excited for 89. So growing up, I always had this love for The Dark Knight Returns. But then as I got older and I got more into Marvel, I got less into Batman and DC Comics. But I became an adult, I revisited Dark Knight Returns, and it reconnected with it instantly because of my love for it growing up. So that's where my love for The Dark Knight Returns is. And it's an amazing book. It's an amazing story. It is the pinnacle to me Batman story. It always will be.
It is, and it's definitely a gateway book for comics and Batman and the industry. And I would say it's definitely a book you can read every 5 or 10 years and get something out of it that's different every single time, and it kind of changes with the time.
And to like tag onto yours, like what I was saying initially with mine, I think because I had held off reading it so much, I felt like it's in the zeitgeist of Batman, lore. Like it's so well steeped in. So like me not reading it, not that I don't feel like I needed it. I was like, I feel like I've
through osmosis, cultural osmosis.
Like I've just absorbed it. So like just reading through it, like I totally get why it belongs on the Bat shelf of every Bat fan. But I was like, I feel like I've already read it, like I've already experienced it. I actually watched the animated movie first before reading it, and I'm like, if I'm calling myself a Batman fan, I need to buy this book. So I went out to Best Buy when the movie was coming out. I think they released them as 2 parts, and then they collected them together and said, oh, there's this 30-minute interview with Frank Miller. I'm like, well now I got to see that. So Best Buy came out with a hardcover graphic novel that had that extra DVD with it. So that is my version of The Dark Knight Returns that I have. The back of it has the extra DVD in it. So it's really well presented. If you have that Best Buy version, if you can find it on eBay, I recommend getting it if you don't have a copy of The Dark Knight Returns.
Is it not on the Blu-ray for the double disc?
It's on. No. So it is on the combined version.
Yeah, combined.
So that's I have that. I have that.
The one that's got parts 1 and 2 together.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So by the way, and this is no joke, Andy from Holy Batcast, we joked and said, we gotta one day do the Dark Knight Returns movie podcast because I've never finished it.
What?
I've always no. It's because it's so freaking long.
No, it's. I mean, it's less long than any Marvel movie.
Maybe unpopular.
It's long.
It's like 2 hours.
Unpopular opinion. I like the movie more than the book.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get into that. Me too.
Oh, okay. Really fast. I just want one last thing. I want to reemphasize the reason why I think I love it so much again is because you don't need to read it necessarily. That's how good it is. Like, I mean, I grew up looking at pictures through comics and not being able to read for a long time.
Yeah, you've always had a lot of emphasis on the art being important.
Yeah, and to me, like, and don't get me wrong, like writing and dialogue is super important, but it's not. To me, it's 70% art, 30% writing, and that's just my opinion. Not saying it's the only thing, but for me, it's always the art.
Comics works best for you, and it's like that.
Exactly.
Generally.
And so, because I can just look through the pictures and you can just get, even when it's just like the lady talking on the TV, you get what he's trying to say. Just by the way the panels go left to right, the redundancy is meant to be there because there's a redundancy in America and just stuff like that. Like you pick up on that stuff. So
and it's good and it's crazy I mean, it's eye-opening for you to hear you say that too, because the book is very dense in terms of dialogue and words and lots of panels and lots of dialogue too, Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Hey, first category. Whoop, whoop. We did it.
Woo! All right, that's not too bad. All right,
Yeah.
all right, cool.
All right, see you guys next week.
3 hours to go.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, 3 hours to go. All right, let's
See
do
you
this.
Let's see. Let's move on next to favorite Batman TV series.
Oh.
Hey, Ryan Haas,
Yeah.
kick us off.
Well, I'm not gonna say Gotham because I'm gonna let one of you guys pick that one. So
You might be the only one that watched it.
Wow.
I have watched it all. Favorite, man. I kind of don't want to pick the obvious one. So I'm going to pick something that's not the obvious one. But you said favorite.
Just pick the obvious one. You have to pick your favorite.
Okay.
Just do
I'll make it hard for everybody else. I'll pick Batman the Animated Series. It's awesome.
What is the show you talk about?
I mean, it's such like the I grew up in that crazy period of time where I have Batman 66, Batman 89, Batman Returns, and Batman the Animated Series all kind of swirling around my Batman subconscious at the same time. Oh yeah, and Azrael was Batman in the comic books. So like all this crazy like Batman can be anything type stuff was going on, and I was enjoying it from all angles. But with all that going on, Batman the Animated Series always emerged as what felt like the most pure representation of the character. And you know, so many years after the fact, it's obviously clear that it is, right? If it's one of the best, most pure interpretations of the character we have, like, you can give that series to anybody and it works for kids, it works for adults. And it's got a lot of artistry behind it, and the writing is just excellent, you know, in general. And it's just a really special series. Like, the way it was made, it was made to be, it wasn't made to please like corporate quotas and stuff like that. Like, obviously they want to make money and they want to make it, you know, Batman and stuff, but you could tell the passion behind it. And I don't think that there's been a series kind of quite like it since then. And it's so influential, and it still affects. It's one of those shows that like still affects, you know, other interpretations of Batman or other things in the comic book superhero realm today. So gotta start with Batman the Animated Series. It's just great.
All right, I guess.
Whatever.
Good luck picking other stuff, guys.
Okay. Rob Myers.
Oh, okay. I was hoping I was going to squeeze this in at the end, but my choice might not be an obvious one, and I really dig it. It's not a Batman show, but the footprint for Batman in it is really strong, and that is Young Justice. I think Bruce Greenwood is a very underrated voice for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's done Under the Red Hood, and then was cast to do Young Justice. And a line in season 2 of Young Justice that I absolutely love. I think Ryan knows this one.
Yeah.
Is where they're trying to decide what members are going to get added into the Justice League. And Batman's vying for Dick Grayson Robin to be added to the roster, and Wonder Woman says to him, like, how reckless, and this could, you know, I think Rick Shue has even, you know, mentioned this once in a while, like how reckless it is to bring somebody at a younger age into this life, and you just want him to be just like you. Like, why would you bring somebody into this world? And he said, I brought somebody into this world so he doesn't turn out like me. You know, to give this person guidance. And I thought that is so friggin' cool, rather than let this kid who just lost his parents go through all this hate and anger and is going to turn into this, you know, creature that Batman became. He wanted Dick Grayson to have a different outlook on the type of hero he was going to be. So that was really kind of cool. And just the footprint that goes through all the Young Justice episodes, that, you know, Batman's always got this secret covert team that's going against the Justice League, and, you know, his Bat family is working behind the scenes. So even though it's not a Batman presented show, I think the through line of who and what Batman is, and the Batman that has contingency plans for everything, really, you know, by the time you get to the end of the season where you're like, oh, Batman was in control of this thing the whole entire time. So that's my choices, Young Justice.
What a mighty choice that is as well. Bravo, Rob.
Agreed.
Paul Hermann.
This is where I get confused. I can't pick one that's already gone before, correct?
Correct.
I mean, you can say
that you would have.
But
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I obviously, if I was going first, I would have picked animated series, but I think everyone would say that. I mean, it's
we should have
really
just taken that off the
timeless.
table, to be honest.
Yeah, we probably should have, actually. That's a good point. But I'm actually thankful, because the next one is definitely the Batman 66, and that's no joke. I literally love that series. That was my Batman growing up as a kid. Like a lot of us were, entry level was through the Batman 66 show. And I brought up Batman 89 and Dark Knight Returns. Like those things were, Dark Knight Returns and Batman 66 was my prelude to, and it was filling in the gap for 89 to come out and then later be released on VHS. So it was those things that got me excited. It was those things that show that got me understanding what Batman's rogues gallery was: the Riddler, Catwoman,
Marsha, Queen of Diamonds.
well, yeah,
Lord
you
Fogg.
Oh man,
Black Widow.
What's his name? What's Many Faces?
Egghead.
Not Many Faces.
God,
Not Egghead.
False
was
Face.
Vincent, yeah, False Face. I think it's False Face.
He's only in one
Vincent-
one pair of episodes though. Malachi.
But that's a great episode. Those are great episodes,
dude. He's such a weird.
I love
villain.
that's legit one of the I think one of the
Creepy.
best, some of the best episodes. My favorite episode I watched recently is when the Joker takes over the high school
my God.
and
It's
he
so
gives
good.
money back to the kids.
That's
and
so
then
good.
when Batman comes in, and like I was watching with my good friend, ex Batman and film person John Beerley, and our other good friend Justin Bolger were watching it at my house last year. And it was late at night, and we're like, let's just watch some Batman episodes. I go, guys, we got to watch this episode. It's amazing. And we're watching.
It's awesome.
And it's just so good. And the part where Batman shows up and he tells the kids, nothing in life is free. Oh my God, it's so amazing. Like with his megaphone, it's so incredible. Oh man, it's amazing. It's a great. Those two episodes are great. But anyway, no, Batman 66 is definitely. Obviously, it's a huge, important part of the Batman mythos, and it is, for better or for worse, integrated with us. But honestly, it's a great to me. When me and my wife have kids, I can't wait to show my kids Batman 66 because
I'm right in the middle of that. It is so.
It's
good.
perfect.
Yeah,
it's so perfect to show kids, and again. That's how I learned who all the rogues are, and so going into all the films like Batman Returns and Batman Forever and Batman and Robin and even into the animated series, I learned them through Batman 66. And obviously I didn't know, I learned through Two-Face and Clayface were through the animated series. I had no idea who they were in the comics. So it was not, but everything else, like the other major ones, I all knew because of the 66 show. So yeah, 66 is, I couldn't tell you how long I waited for that set to come in on Blu-ray. I know every Batman fan was, but man, I was one of those people that as soon as they announced it, I told my wife, I need that for my birthday. That has to be on there. So, and I got it a couple of years ago. I was so thankful. I'm like, oh, thank God. So yeah, I haven't gone through all the episodes yet, but I started and they're so much fun. So yeah,
and they look great in
66
high
is great.
def.
Oh, they're fantastic. They look fantastic.
And isn't it interesting with that show that it was so loved back in the 60s, and then as you get closer to 89, it became that thing of like, oh, Batman 66, like, oh, that was so silly, it was whatever, and then it took another 30 years for people to start to come around and go, you know what, I actually really liked it, and that show is getting embraced all over again.
Yeah.
And hearing somebody like Kevin Smith is like, don't be afraid of, if that was your first Batman that you fell in love with, every Batman needs to have that place that you don't turn away from and go, oh, it's silly and campy. Even if that's how that show was, it's something that it's almost like it became that thing of shame for a while to say that you liked Batman 66. So people were like, oh, no, I don't like it.
It's not the real Batman.
Yeah. So I'm glad that it had like a resurgence with the Blu-ray, that people were coming back out and going, oh, I really enjoyed it. So well, what a cool experience that, Adam West got to live long enough to see people fall in love with that all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And him embrace being a voice for the character too. Like, yeah. It was so good. And we've gotten comic book series, Batman 66 series, and we got the great gift of those two animated series where Adam West and Burt Ward came back to voice the characters. We were talking about showing your future kids this stuff, Paul. Like my daughter, we haven't really watched much of the actual series yet, but man, she loves those animated versions. So good. She always wants to watch Batman Two-Face. That is her thing right now.
By the way, everyone, I want you to know that I've heard Ryan's daughter say Batman in a video, and my wife and I thought it was one of the sweetest things. This is how she says it. This is her. She goes, Batman, 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 Batman. Oh my God! Like
was it around the Batman Christmas tree last year?
Yes, I hope you have that video still and send it to me again, because my wife and I we laugh, we go, man. Oh, it's so adorable. You need to post that on there. It's adorable.
Oh man.
Excellent.
Are we done? Or wait, are that?
Nope, it's my turn.
Yeah, so we all know yours is Batman Beyond. So moving on. Anyway.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something if I'm like, damn it, Paul?
I took a stab in the dark. I was like, maybe it is. I don't know.
It is not.
Oh, fair enough.
I don't know if this will surprise anybody, but obviously number one, animated series. I can put that on anytime, any day, and I'll be great. But if I'm not throwing that cartoon series with Batman in,
what's it gonna be?
yeah. So are you trying to like build it up or something? Or?
No, actually, I thought that I lost you guys.
No,
Like
no,
it went
we're-
completely
we're just-
silent.
we're waiting
So
for
I'm-
you to-
bated breath, man. Come on.
Pause,
Beware
do not
the-
edit that out. Make
Beware
sure
the
everybody
Batman.
is on
The
edge.
Batman. Batman
Tell me
Brave and the
again.
Bold.
Are you gonna name them all?
Well, yeah, I'm trying
Keep going.
to figure
Keep
out what
going.
you're.
Batman versus Dracula.
The New
Yeah.
Adventures of Batman, 1977.
There you go, Gotham. Which one? Lauer.
The Batman.
Nice.
The Batman. Yes. I
Art
I
bugging
still
me.
think that one is underrated, and
Mhm.
I think it's because the obvious reasoning that even though it began like 6 years after the animated series ended or the New Batman Adventures ended, that it was still compared to the animated series. So it had a tough task, and it had its own unique vision. Sure, it got kiddied up a little bit, and sure, some designs are not. The design, obviously, of the Joker, they were trying so hard to make it different that it
Mhm.
became distracting.
It's like what do you do? What do you do when you have a Joker that is so iconic that everybody would compare it to? You go completely left field. You make him look super weird.
Give him a grill and a tattoo on his head.
That's exactly what I was saying. Like
Yeah.
what they did with Jared Leto in Suicide Squad is basically the same approach that they had to that they had to take for the Joker in the Batman. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
History repeating
I mean,
itself.
so I liked most of the villains. I really liked Robert Englund, voice
The
of
Riddler. That's a
I
cool
liked
interpretation of the Riddler for sure.
I liked that they'd inserted the Bruce Harvey relationship into the policeman friend, into Clayface, and using that switch up. I thought that
and
was
that was
really
out
well
of that
done.
was one of those things that it came out of necessity because they weren't allowed to use Two-Face on the show, which is so weird to me. Two-Face,
I did not know that.
Any of the Nolan villains sans the Joker, of course. So they couldn't use Scarecrow, they couldn't use Two-Face, they couldn't use Ra's al Ghul.
Well,
So-
that series, then they also. So I loved Reno Romano as Batman and Bruce Wayne. Loved that, and then I loved. I looked it up as Alistair Duncan as Alfred. Which I mean, I couldn't pick the guy out, but I thought he was great. It's very like Alfred's casting. I think behind Bruce is like so important, and I thought his voice was perfect. I thought he was perfect, and then to go along like other episodes, and I forget the. I can't think of what the name is of the episode, but I think basically their Dark Knight Returns episode.
Oh,
of
I know
Batman.
where it does like a fat flash forward into the future.
Yeah, because
That is so
Mr.
good.
Freeze or
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, Freeze is
that
in it
episode
somehow.
That episode is awesome. The
It's
Riddler
great.
episode is awesome. I like that they brought in Batgirl before Robin.
It's got it's a really unique take on just the lore too. Like
Yeah.
yeah.
So I thought that it was different. It can stand on its own. It's not heavily reliant on the series that came before it. So that's just, if it can't be Batman the Animated Series, it's the Batman.
Man,
I'm
after
surprised out of us that nobody said The Brave and the Bold.
Yeah, I was surprised.
well, that's kind of one of those things where it's like, you said TV series, you didn't necessarily say animated series. So
Exactly.
yeah,
That's true.
So I mean, that shows you like how much interesting and varied quality stuff that we do have to choose from. I really hope that after this Batman Beyond HD set comes out, Blu-ray set comes out, maybe, oh man, fingers crossed, maybe sometime they'll release the Batman on Blu-ray or something. I don't know if the fervor is there for it. They'll probably end up doing more Timverse stuff, I guess, like Justice League or something. Which I think they've done some of those already, maybe. But man, I would love to. Revisiting that the Batman cartoon would be great to do at some point.
All right, moving on. Next up, since I ended it on animated, let's go with our favorite Batman animated episode. Kick us off, Rob Myers.
My gosh. No surprise.
You don't have to pick it from the series you just said, though.
No.
No.
Any animated Batman in anything.
I really like Growing Pains from the new Batman Adventures.
I knew you were going to choose this one. It's so good, though.
I love this one. It's more of a, obviously Tim Drake, Robin centric, but I like that it didn't play. Like, Clayface is my favorite Batman villain. And the first time that I watched it, I didn't realize that Clayface was a part of this, figuring out the mystery of who this girl is, that, she's in danger and Robin's trying to figure it out and breaks away from Batman to solve this case. And finding out it's an entity that has broken free from Clayface that's living independently of Clayface, and he's trying to bring that part of himself back in. And she ends up, quote unquote, killing herself and what you think is Clayface. And when they, pull him out of the muck and they're putting him in the squad car or the paddy wagon at the end of the episode, and you hear Bullock say, what should we charge him with? And Robin turns around and says, murder. I thought that was just a really powerful episode. And Batman's not in it much, but the story I thought was just fantastic. So it's one of those that I tend to gravitate towards the new Batman Adventures because it becomes more Bat-family. You get a Nightwing and a Batgirl and a Robin, in it, and Catwoman's kind of more on the fence of, like, she's quasi kind of good in there, but that's a favorite episode of mine to revisit. And it's Tim Drake centric, so I can't go wrong there. But that's my choice, Growing Pains.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah,
choice.
well done. I like it. That's a good choice. Paul Hermann.
I knew you were gonna go with me next. Dang it! I was trying to log into my Vudu account so make sure I can look at the animated episodes that I'm thinking off the top of my head.
We can come back to you if you want to be.
Clear. I think I'm gonna go with the Grey Ghost episodes.
Oh man, that was such a good one.
Because obviously going back to Batman 66, you've got the Adam West thing, but I just love the idea of Bruce growing up with a superhero and watching and loving the superhero. Like, I know in the comics or back in the day, Denny O'Neil tried to make the Shadow be his inspiration, or Zorro, whatever. There's always like
the
a
Zorro element, yeah.
Yeah, Zorro element, but I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like, he tried Shadow wasn't that his original one of his inspirations or something like that? But I love the idea of taking a vigilante kind of idea of Bruce, getting that kind of instilled in him, not just the fact of covering your face with a mask, but having that kind of superhero vigilante idea. Because I know Zorro's kind of like that too, but it's a little more. It's such an old time kind of idea.
But the Grey Ghost had like a Grey Ghost car and a Grey Ghost cave, and
yeah, exactly. It's you see where he got his inspiration from, and it was so different at the time. Even as a Batman fan who hadn't read a bunch of comics at that point, or very limited, maybe as much as probably you had, Ryan, as far as like the Nightfall stuff is probably the extent of what I've read besides the Dark Knight Returns. But that being said, I love that idea. I love the Grey Ghost. I thought he looked grad. It was really, really nice episodes, and seeing that whole dynamic kind of play out. And again, I don't remember exactly everything, but I do know if I had to pick those, like the first thing that came to mind when we were talking about this right now, those episodes stuck out immediately. So I figured, if they stuck out immediately, the first thing when I think about my favorite episodes from the animated series that sticks out, that probably means they're probably some of my favorites. So I'd say the Grey Ghost episodes.
Yeah.
I love the end of that where he's like, I used to watch that with my father and stuff. I mean, that gets me. When I rewatched that, like when the Blu-rays came out, and oh my god, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was not expecting it, but it did.
Batman makes me cry.
Seriously. Deep,
I'm not
man.
crying, you're crying.
Yeah.
You're crying.
Move on. Let's move on to somebody else, okay?
Moving on to me next, and my favorite animated episode is Christmas with the Joker.
That's a great episode too.
Now, why don't we rub them out?
Paul, I just love blowing up bridges. Keep going, guys. Keep going.
No,
You've got
no,
this.
please. What were you saying?
As Paul, as you just said, of like instantly what pops into your head, like when you hear Batman the Animated Series, and it's a great Ghost episodes. When I hear Batman the Animated Series, Christmas with the Joker is the instant. Yeah. It's the top one for me. I don't know, it doesn't pull on any kind of like heartstrings or anything, but I think it is just unabashedly fun. Like everything, it's so fun, and that is like Mark Hamill just like off the leash, voicing the Joker. And I mean, the episode starts on the Joker and his awesome Jingle Bells Batman smells, flying out in the tree.
Yeah.
And also it's such a great pessimistic Batman at Christmas.
Oh man, yeah.
And it's so fitting, but it's not like annoying in any way whatsoever. And then I just love the whole part of It's a Wonderful Life. I've never seen that before. Couldn't get past the title.
That's the title.
I love that line.
And then he's like, what's it about or whatever, and then Robin's like, it's about the difference one man can make in an entire city. You know, I thought you'd relate to it or whatever. You know, I love the dialogue. Such good dialogue in that.
It is.
Episode.
It's such good dialogue, and I'm such a like. I'm so corny. I'm like on hope, believing in hope and stuff. And Robin is so hopeful in the episode of like, people are good, and they're witnessing it and all of that. And then just when they're ready to settle down, then the Joker does his little antics, and then his whole little sweater on his head up like upside down person, like the whole damn episode. And then it just goes bonkers at the end when they fight the Joker and the big his big Joker in the box stuff. And I don't know, it's just God, I just love that episode so much.
That is if I may interject for a moment.
Of course.
One of the things that you brought up was the Joker singing the Jingle Bells thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it still blows my mind that was the first time, at least I can ever thought or ever heard or even maybe read. I'm pretty sure it's the first time ever Joker ever sang that classic line of the Joker got away and the Jingle Bells, Batman smells.
It made me, well, it was funny because I
wasn't
saw
it
that,
in The Simpsons
like 100
first?
times. Well, that's what I was going to say is years later when I finally watched the very first episode of The Simpsons, I thought The Simpsons took it from the Joker. And it's like, oh, no, it's Simpsons came first. Simpsons did it.
Yeah, well, no, but like, I maybe they did it first, but I that's been around since I can remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in elementary school in the 80s, and
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Before the Simpsons were even thought of, and was singing Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin
exactly.
Laid an Egg. And I was like,
and Joker got away.
Yeah, that's like 83, 82.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like that was I've heard that since I can remember. And the fact, I think the animated series was the first time the Joker ever acknowledged that Jingle Bell. Mm-hmm. As far as I know. Maybe hardcore Batman fans like, no, he actually addressed it in Detective Comics 435, whatever, which is fine. Call me out on that because I have no idea. But if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the first time he's ever publicly acknowledged that Jingle Bell. And it blew me away. I'm like, why hasn't anyone ever thought of doing that before? Like, that's incredible. And the way Hamill does it's perfect. So, yeah, great. Lauer, that's an amazing pick. That's a great episode.
And it's one of those things where, like, you remember, it's I believe the first episode that he voices the Joker in. It's the second episode of the entire series in terms of production run. And it was Hamill having to redub Tim Curry at that point. So it wasn't like he was having to match already completed animation and stuff. So he's still figuring out the character and still managed to make it as good as it is.
And to me, that's his best Joker episode too. So
yeah, it's pretty dang good.
Yeah. So there you go. Haas, bring it home.
So I'm going to pick an episode of Batman the Animated Series.
Hey.
And and it is
shocking.
Yes, and
how original.
It is not, but it's great. It's Perchance to Dream.
Ooh,
and
that's a good one.
Yeah, and it's one of those like one and done episodes that really kind of delves into like Batman's psyche. And when you can have an episode that does that, and it has like one core villain in it, it takes such an interesting angle at the character, right? I mean, it's Bruce Wayne. He's like in this he just wakes up and everything is great. There's no Batman, and he's like, it's too good to be true, and of course it is. Until like you were watching the episode, and you're like, what's going on? Like, he's not Batman, and then Bruce Wayne sees that there's a Batman there, and things start getting weirder and weirder. And the thing that I remember the most is when he tries to go read in a dream. Exactly. And he picks up the book, and all the text is all garbled and stuff. That freaked me out as a kid so much. So every time I ever had dreams from then, it was like, is that how I can really tell I'm in a dream?
Same.
And apparently that's like not really a thing. But the writer just thought that sounded kind of like a cool idea.
It's a mission whenever in a dream, and to where I'm actually like thinking and coherent. I'm like, oh wait, try to read.
Exactly. So, and spoilers, it's all a Mad Hatter thing. So it's kind of great. It just, and the way that Bruce Wayne has to get out of the dream is he has to like kill himself, right? He has to like jump off this bell tower. Bruce Wayne has to fight Batman, and then he like jumps off this building. And then when he wakes up and stuff as Batman, and Mad Hatter realizes that he got out of it, he's like scared as hell. It's so great.
Yeah, I remember. I don't think I saw it that episode when it aired in its original run. It was when the box set came out, and it was volume 2 of the DVD on DVD. And I remember watching that, and I was like, what the hell is going on? What is going on? And then it was Mad Hatter at the end, and I'm like, oh my God, most of this episode didn't even have a villain. And this episode was freaking sweet. Good choice.
Yes.
Ta-da! We're moving on to, you know what? We're talking about animation. Let's just go right to our favorite animated Batman movie. And who should start us off other than Paul Hermann? Go, Paul.
Oh, man. It's funny you bring me up.
Yeah.
So, this is a tough one because there's a couple animated films I actually really like. And one's going to surprise you guys. And one, I don't know if I should go with the... Ryan, I think you already know where I'm going with this. Yeah. I think one's very obvious, and I think it's the easy one. So I'm not going to take that. Because I do love this, and I'll let someone else take it, and I'll talk about it. But gun to my head, I really hate to say it, it's gonna be Under the Red Hood by Batman, and by Batman, written and narrated by Batman. Sorry, but Batman Under the Red Hood, because I remember when they were in the early mid 2000s. When they started bringing back the sidekick characters like Bucky, Winter Soldier, and Jason Todd, Robin, those were such sacred characters growing up. And Rob, you're a little older than me, but we and you were kind of know if you grew up reading comics, those characters were like sacred. Like you don't touch those characters, right? Because they were dead. Their deaths were significant. Yeah, right. I mean, like because. I don't know about you, but like when people talked about like, is that character dead, or are they dead, or are they Bucky dead? There was that term, right. So there was this kind of stigma to that, and I remember there were tons of people who wanted to bring back, Bucky and Jason, and all the editors were like, no, it's too easy, it's so low hanging fruit, and they finally started doing that. I want to say Winter Soldier was first, and that was obviously gigantic. And the reason I don't know, I'm bringing Marvel up in a DC podcast, but bear with me here. So I know. But the reason why is because obviously Jason came back, and I remember thinking like, how are they going to bring this character back? Because I know in Hush, I read Hush at one point, and I was like, what? They brought Jason back? And I'm like, oh wait, no, it's actually Clayface. Never mind. So but when they finally brought him back officially, I was kind of blown away. And I'd never understood until I think Chris Cloud told me, I was like, oh yeah, Superboy Earth Prime punched out. I went, all right, I'm done. I said, I'm done. But when the Blu-ray came out, I thought, oh, that's interesting. I should watch that movie sometime. My brother, this will really date us. He went into a closing Blockbuster and picked up their used copy of Under the Red Hood and goes, oh, I bought this, thought you might want it. And he just randomly bought it for me and gave it to me. Oh, cool. I wanted to see this. I watched it. I'm like, holy crap. I loved it. I loved it. I thought it was a fantastic
It's better than the book.
Story.
Yes.
And that's what you stole my thunder, you jerk.
Sorry.
You stole my thunder,
Bastard.
I know. I do that all the time anyway. Sorry. It's curses. So you well said, Ryan. It is 100% better than the book. And again, maybe we'll have a future Batman on Film show. Ryan,
yeah, we definitely need
at
to
some
do
point about the book and the comic, because I actually read the comic just recently because we were going to do a show about it, and we will still, I think, one day. But that being said, the movie really is, I think, a better overall story if it's because it's so self-contained. And I thought the performances, and I thought Judd Winnick did a fantastic job writing the story.
Yeah, it's important that Winnick was able to write the screenplay for the movie.
That he was able to take his own story and just make it better.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done.
Yes. And really bringing in the Batman mythos and enriching that and bringing in all those different things. Like the beginning with Jason Todd and Batman, it's like, it's rough, dude.
Yeah.
It's rough. And I'm like, man, this is not holding back. And that was maybe kind of buy into DC animation films, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to talk so much, but I do love this movie a lot. And I probably, if it gets re-released in 4K at some point, which I'm not sure if it has, but if it has, I need to buy that because it's one of my favorites for sure.
Even now, every time that I watch it, I still laugh at John DiMaggio's Joker.
Oh,
he's a great Joker.
He's
underrated.
Yeah. Especially there at the end when Jason breaks open that closet door and Joker kind of comes to and he sees what's going on and he just kind of starts laughing, and all of his one-liners from then on are just hysterical.
Yeah, no,
and not distracting or overdone or anything either. It's like perfect.
The whole crowbar bit. Get one with me and the crowbar.
Yeah.
Now get one with me and the kid.
Yeah, oh, so good.
Little history for you. The Winter Soldier came out in 2005. Under the Red Hood, 2006.
Yeah, right on the heels.
Wow.
There you go.
Yeah, right on the heels.
Great.
I knew they were close. I knew they were really, really close. But yeah. But both are great. I don't know. Again, I don't read a lot of DC comics as of right now, but I do like the idea that Jason has his own character, like Bucky and Winter Soldier, and that he's definitely got his own following, which is awesome.
Yeah. Good choice. Surprising that was my number 2, because I'm gonna go next. Number 1 is the obvious Batman Mask of the Phantasm. This is a favorites list. My favorite is Mask of the Phantasm. But this just goes to show also that there is an endless amount of good Batman animated movies. But Mask of the Phantasm, it's an extension of the animated series. It's an awesome story. It's a great mystery. I think Andrea is a great addition, coming back in the comics in January 2020. I think the Phantasm, I think, is a cool aesthetic. I think
such a cool villain. It's like a Batman love story that actually works.
Yeah. And I don't know, that movie, I feel like it's just perfect to me, except for, is it Tia Carrere's song in the credits at the end?
I like that.
I hate it.
Go on record.
No, I like that song too.
I
got the soundtrack as a kid. Yeah. We went to the beach, and whenever we went to the beach, y'all, they had a record store. And whenever you go to the record store, I didn't buy popular records. I bought movie soundtracks, and I would buy stuff that I wanted to listen to because where I was from, you couldn't really find that kind of stuff. And so at the beach, at the record store, they had stuff like the Back to the Future soundtrack and stuff like that. So that's where I got stuff like Batman 89, Batman Returns, and the Mask of the Phantasm soundtrack, and I totally wore that CD out that summer.
So I think I'm probably the oldest in the room, and am I the only one that can say that I actually saw this in the theater on release day?
I wanted to see it, but it was only in theaters for 2 weeks or less.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
4 hours.
Basically, it was close to Christmas, so if he had schedules and stuff. So I saw Batman Returns in a theater, and this came out a year and a half later. This was, Batman Returns was summer '92. Mask of the Phantasm came out in December '93. But in my town, our theater only had 2 screens, and to my knowledge, they did not even play it. So we would have had to have gone an hour and a half or 2 hours away to see it. And I think it was just not on my parents' radar that there was a Batman movie in the theater. So I didn't see it until VHS. I would have loved to have seen it in the theater though.
Yeah, I saw it at a 7:30 showing, and there were 4 people in the theater. Me, my girlfriend in high school at the time, and then 2 other random people.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Because that, I was collecting comics at that time. Vividly, I remember the ads for it in Marvel Comics vividly. Well, I could not. I wanted to see it, and they did a great job of marketing to the comic fans at least. But I was in 6th grade when it came out, so there was not really going to be a way for me to go see it. My parents were not necessarily like, honestly, if I would have told them, can I go see Batman, a cartoon movie? They'd be like, just wait till it comes out on video. I mean, if it's a live action, they'd be like, okay, we get it. But then animated, they'd be like, just wait.
Yeah.
They just tell me to wait, probably, honestly. So, but Mask of the Phantasm, I gotta say, when I finally sat down and watched it, I was blown away how great it was. It was so good. So good. So yeah, that's probably my favorite animated one, honestly. But it's just so easy to say that I had to say mine. So just for the record, I gave it to you, Lauer.
Thank you.
For you.
Thank you.
Did it for you.
Because clearly my choices are the obvious ones so far. Ryan Haas.
Yeah.
Knock us on our ass.
Okay, so for this one, I'm gonna pick The Dark Knight Returns parts 1 and 2. If I had to pick one of the parts, I would pick part 1, but I can get away with saying both parts.
Yeah, it's one movie.
So I always liked the book, but it's one of those things like we have discussed in this show where
classic.
Where
I like the book.
Well, the thing with me is that like I wasn't really old enough to understand or get the cultural significance or impact of the book. It was just like, I was a kid. I was 6, 7, 8 years old in a comic book store, and people would be like, "Oh, this is the best Batman book ever," and I just didn't get it. Right? It's a dense book. I kind of knew it was about Batman after he'd retired and he comes back and whatever, and he's on a horse at the end, and okay, I guess it's cool. But I didn't, and I read it when I could finally read it, but I didn't really, I wasn't in the thick of it to know how influential it was, and really and I wasn't all the themes of the story didn't really resonate with me on a huge deep level until I saw the animated version, and that version does such a good job of distilling the story down to the emotional beats of it. And because it's an adaptation, they don't do things word for word, panel for panel. They take the iconic stuff and they really make you feel something when you watch that thing. And there's so many moments in both of those movies where it just blew me away or like brought me to tears, just because it was all about like the whole story is like predicated on how much do you love Batman and how much has Batman influenced you over your life. And if all that stuff actually does affect you and you love Batman as a character, when you watch that movie, man, it just really affected me, all the stuff that he goes through, because it's more like Batman as a cipher for like getting through tough things in life or hard choices. And Batman never gives up, and there's so many moments in those where Batman like could easily give up, and then he doesn't, and he powers through it. Or just the moments where you can tell it's hard on him, or you can tell like it's just hard for him to do this or that, and he just like grunts and gets through it and does it anyway because he's freaking Batman. And that stuff just always gets me, because it's like it feels like Batman's always there for you, and Batman just always picks himself up and keeps going. So I'm just going to pick those, and because I think they're really well done, and it resonated with me better or more than the actual book did.
Right on. So not actually, So far, we have Under the Red Hood, Mask of the Phantasm, Dark Knight Returns. Those are my top 3 to where Rob Myers couldn't guess what you could possibly bring.
Oh, there's another really.
Oh, there's a lot of really good. I know.
Oh, but Rob's not going to pick what I think because he doesn't even like that show.
Mystery of the Batwoman. No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say the Harley Quinn.
Oh, no.
Oh.
A universal on that one.
I haven't even seen it. I just the trailer was. Ugh.
It's
It's
not.
worse
I
than the
don't-
trailer makes you think it's going to.
Oh.
Sorry,
no.
go ahead. Sorry to spoil it all. Go ahead,
I was
Rob.
curious what Ryan says. I don't like that show. What don't I like?
I already know what it is.
Batman Beyond.
Yeah, I do it too.
Return of the Joker.
Yeah.
Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. Honorable mention. It's so good.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I think that's maybe because what they do to Tim, but anyway.
Well, you don't like the show. You don't like Batman Beyond in general, though.
I don't like Batman Beyond in general. The only reason I ever bought a Batman Beyond comic book is because they made Tim Drake Batman Beyond. So I was like, dang it, I got to read this thing. So anyway, that's a tangent for a whole other thing.
That's a whole other podcast.
That's a whole other podcast that I would sit down and watch some episodes and then, anyway. Mine, oh man, favorite animated. Man, this is rough. I'm gonna go with, in the new DC animated universe line of films, I'm gonna go with Batman Bad Blood. I'm really torn between Bad Blood and Batman and Robin, or Robin versus Batman. Yeah, but I think I like Batman Bad Blood. Of getting to see an animated version of Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian Wayne. Batman's missing, and adding in Batwoman and Batwing. I really kind of like that movie actually quite a bit. Out of all the new DC animated universe movies, Hush most recently, I enjoyed that, but there's something about Batman Bad Blood that if I'm going to go through and pull an animated movie of more recent time, if I'm not going to go, I've seen Under the Red Hood 500 times and, Mask of the Phantasm, I'm going to go with Batman Bad Blood. I like the story there, and I like the relationship where, Damian's wanting to drive the Batmobile, and Dick's like, no, you're not driving the Batmobile, and getting to hear him call him Grayson and, all that stuff, and seeing yellow oval here for Pete Vera, seeing Dick Grayson wear the yellow oval in that animated movie is really kind of cool. There's just something about it that I'm like, this is cool. This could, and to know that the Batman's there, eventually towards the tail end because he's captured and all that stuff. But I dig that, and it's loosely tied and based into Batman R.I.P. and Battle for the Cowl. They kind of did an amalgamation of that and told their own story. So that's my answer.
And Ninja Nuns.
Yes, Ninja Nuns.
Ninja Nuns.
I need to watch those. I haven't seen those two at all, so I need to check
They're
those
pretty
out.
good. I could,
But I had. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
I just wanted to add that Return of the Joker is really, really.
It's
good.
really, really, really.
It's really good. And I'm not. I'm trying to go through Batman Beyond series because I have DC Universe now.
Oh yeah,
and-
because it's in HD. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the first season anyway. And I want to give it a fair shot. I just cannot get into it, but I have to say I do love Return of the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I find the Beyond as a series okay.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
It's very
Yeah.
hit and miss, and the miss isn't
Yeah.
so far gone. But I'm just kind of I'm not really that interested. But Return of the Joker is.
It's legit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Future episode, revisit.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Return of the Joker is so good, and it's so fascinating because it has the two versions. It has the censored version and the uncensored director's cut version.
We got to have the same crew for the Return of the Joker just because of this guy being like, I don't want to see Drake. So.
Yeah, I will. You have me on. I will watch and sit down and watch that episode.
Yeah, you should.
Fantastic. We should do that. That's a great first episode. I love how I'm creating more episodes for us. To
Well,
do.
why not?
Like the guy from Marvel is getting. Would it be a great
Paul,
show?
Aren't you a Marvel guy? Why are you talking
Yes,
about
I am.
Batman there?
Yeah,
Paul?
well,
Okay.
yeah.
Stay on your
Well, he
side
was-
of the street, Paul.
He did cross over with Spider-Man and Hulk at one point, so
That's true.
he did.
I didn't know the Hulk part. I knew Spider-Man.
Oh, homie, Shaper of Worlds, Joker team up, one of the strangest team ups of all time.
Awesome.
It's ridiculous.
I'm in.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, I was just gonna go through like more honorable mentions of all these recent Batman movies that I think are definitely worth watching.
Lightning
with your
round.
time.
Let's just do it.
So like this new Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles crossover.
Oh my God!
It's
yes.
so incredibly so well done. Like the voices of the characters are like so impeccably perfect. Like, and it's one that's like just hits the tone. Like it's so good. So I would pick that one. I would say Batman Ninja. We had a whole episode, Rob. You were on that. We did the commentary.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
That's good stuff.
It's different, but man, it's online. I've seen it either really works for some people, or people really love it, or people really hate it. And for me, it's like it's so weird, but it doesn't matter because it's Batman, and it's so fascinating. So Batman Ninja is definitely worth kind of exploring. Gotham by Gaslight, I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Cause it's another. Who's Paul?
By the way, Ryan, I love how you're just basically naming off literally every Batman animated movie right now.
I'm not. There's more. I can do
except for Batman.
I can do the opposite and say which ones to avoid.
Here's one that I almost said that I really enjoy. It's animated. The Lego Batman.
I was gonna mint. That was the last thing I was gonna say. Is like, well, we gotta say Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
Animated. You don't jump to Jesus. You don't jump to CG right away, and it's in a different category. But yeah,
it's cute. It's cute.
It's super. It's super.
It's cute.
I thought you were gonna say it's super cute.
And
it's
those.
Like,
it is super cute. It is super cute, but it's not good. It's just cute.
It's super cute.
It's super good. Cute. And I would say those two Batman 66 animated movies, those were great. Those are a gift.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Continue, Lauer.
Continue. All right. Well, from
and Batman Gotham Knight. That was cool too.
I like Gotham Knight. I like that one.
Is that the Nolan one?
Yeah.
The anthology movie.
Yeah.
It's cool.
All these
the Deadshot thing was cool.
I was gonna say, that was my favorite one. Deadshot was my favorite one.
Yeah, word. Yeah, word.
That was good. All right, so from animated movies to live action.
Oh God.
Uh-oh. Favorite live action Batman movie, and it's
Can't say Dark Knight.
No, it's my turn to go first. Damn it!
Wow.
And I gotta choose favorite, and my favorite is The Dark Knight.
It's this indie film called The Dark Knight.
Yeah, it's a small one. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it won a couple of Oscars the following year and changed the Academy Awards for history. That's my favorite Batman movie, animated or live action. I love that movie for obvious reasons of Batman, but also Heath Ledger's Joker. And I hate it when people say, you take Heath Ledger out of there, and it's just a very standard Batman movie. It's like, well, you take a big important character out of any damn good movie, and the movie ends up not as good.
Well, you also hear people saying like, he wasn't even that good of a Joker. Like you're really getting the really contentious people now being like, it's Joaquin Phoenix is the best Jokers ever. Like there was not even any good Jokers before him.
Yeah. No, I loved everything about that movie. I loved the hype. At one point, I think I had 13 Heath Ledger Joker t-shirts.
Holy hand grenades, man.
If I saw one, this was more college money well spent. If I saw one,
yeah.
I drove 5
I've
minutes
still got
to the mall,
I've got a few
it down at Hot Topic and at my comic book shop and everything. Like, and then Christmas that year, I got.
Why so serious?
Oh my God, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I don't need to explain anymore. Dark Knight, because I said so. Ryan Haas.
Dark Knight Rises.
The Dark Knight.
Dark Knight Rises because I said so. We don't have to discuss it more, but Dark Knight Rises.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Excellent. Hey, I love Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't like it.
Well, there's like 3 people that don't. All right. I mean,
there's more than 3 people, homie. I hate to break it to you.
Well, not.
You can act like everyone loves it. It's not universally loved as much as the first 2. Let's be real.
Yeah, but it made a ton of money and it got well reviewed.
It did. I'm not saying it didn't. Hey,
just like that Star Wars
movies
movie
make a lot of money.
That's
it's just like the Fast and the Furious movies. They make money, but like only like 3 people admit they actually like them.
Just like those Transformers movies, not Bumblebee.
Exactly.
Hold the F on, y'all. Dark Knight Rises is not in the same category as any of that swill.
No, he all he was doing was talking about movies that make a lot of money, but nobody says they like.
Thank you, Howard.
That's all he was saying.
Critics
Thank you.
and GA loves it.
I know. Listen. I know people. There's a lot of Batman fans that love Dark Knight Rises, and I'm not taking that away.
Don't take it away from me, Paul.
No, all I'm saying is you cannot say that it's loved as much as the first.
No,
it is.
I never said that.
It's definitely. I didn't say you didn't. I'm just saying you have to. I'm just saying you have to say that and admit that about.
All I'm saying is that people that
I'm trying to take it away.
People
from you,
that
basically.
all I'm saying is that people that. Well, okay, I'm not gonna be contentious and say that. I'll revise what I was about to say and say
No, you say it.
This is for you, Justin.
You're committed. You say it. You can't tease us.
Just go
So-
for it.
Dangle
You have
the
the last
carrot.
word, Ryan. It's
Well,
you. Go.
I'm just gonna say that I pick and I picked Rises not just because I couldn't say Dark Knight. It's because I would have said Rises regardless. Is because it's the same reason that The Dark Knight Returns I picked as my top animated film. It just says so much about the character of Batman on a conceptual level, and it's. I don't know. It just really gets me. I just think it gets to the core of what that character means, not just in that movie, but across many forms of media, as a primal, as Batman as a symbol. That's what the whole trilogy is about, and it's just. I just think it works so well. So, people that, and so when people tell me they love Rises and tell me why, and people that like it for the same reasons I do, I feel like that kind of deeper connection of okay, well, you like Batman for a lot of the same reasons I like Batman. So, Dark Knight Rises.
There you go. Non-contentious.
Yep.
Rob Myers. You can't say Dark Knight Rises.
No. I'm going to flip the coin and go to the other side and say Batman versus Superman.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well done, sir. Well done.
And that is, and I am just going to say that is not because somebody took, The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises. Up until this point, my favorite movie was Batman Forever. I love 89. I can recite that movie frontwards, backwards. I saw it 4 times in the theater back in the day. And this may be aesthetic-wise, I'm get him out of that stupid black costume. I do not want to see the black costume anymore. I want a Batman that leaps off the page and looks like he does in the comics. I want to see this. I want to see a Batman that can actually really fight. I want to see punches and kicks. I want to see him flying through the air and not have to get through. And I understand the limitations.
With the head?
Yeah, the bat turn, I want to see all that. Now, aside from, whether you think about the movie, this, that, or the other, I just remember seeing that very first image of Ben Affleck and going, holy crap, that is freaking Batman, and he is jacked up.
Yeah.
So I think just from that kid reading comics back in the 80s, and again, I love all of the Batman movies for various reasons. Anytime given day, I feel like whichever way the wind blows, I'm there are things about Rises I really like. And I love seeing the Batman movies get re-released in theaters and going to the theater, watching Batman and Robin and walking out of that theater going, I had a good time with this film. I can enjoy it for what it is, but there was just something about Ben Affleck's performance that I just went, dude, that I wanted more of that version. We're getting Matt Reeves, that's cool and great, but my favorite Batman film is Batman v Superman.
Me and my spirit animal, Pete Vera, will jump on that bandwagon because we stand up for that movie. But I feel like I come across a lot of comments as if people forget that they praised Affleck's Batman from that movie. They didn't necessarily like the movie as a whole.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's universal.
BVS is such a
Affleck's
complicated movie to talk about.
And we don't need to go down that route or anything like that. So let's just talk about Batman. But it seems like there was a lot of people. I came across people that didn't necessarily like the movie, but thought Affleck's Batman was badass.
Yeah, I wanted a different take. I get it. Like you said, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but let's pull that Batman out of it shave off the rough edges that kind of rub people the wrong way. Let's see a solo Batman movie and see if how that plays out. But yeah, aesthetically for me, and just some of the interactions, just like the dumb little thing of him being down trying to get the stuff from Lex Luthor, and he's like, oh, is this the bathroom down here? Like, you heard his Bruce Wayne, and he went right back into the Alfred, like, get me out of here. That whole thing, like those shoes, like those shoes. Dumb little things. I was just like, that's kind of a cool Bruce Wayne Batman flip right there. So that's my choice.
No comments. Paul Hermann is going to bring us home on here.
All right. I like being last. This is a good one. Justice League. I'm just kidding. Which, by the way, I like Justice League. That's not really.
I do too.
Yeah, like I think Rob actually said it best. I think I like all the Batman movies pretty much, despite they're not being perfect or always the greatest things.
Yeah.
Their Batman's just a great character, and he is my favorite DC character, and I do find value in every Batman film that I watch. And I want to say, for the record, I walked in the BVS thinking, because I believe the hype of how bad it was going to be. And I remember walking out being, wow, that was actually like not that bad. Like, I think it was that bad. I kind of felt that I was maybe I watched a different movie at some point. I understand the complaints, and I don't think it's perfect. I like the Ultimate Edition a lot, but at the same time, I think it's a little bit. It gets a little bit of an unfair rap, and whatever. That's again a whole thing. But like you said, Rob, Affleck, I feel that was the best interpretation from comic to screen Batman. Mm-hmm. If you were just going straight adaptation from a comic book,
visuals,
visuals, yeah. and even like with the character of Batman and how he acts and moved and everything, like the Bruce Wayne to the flipping, like I love how he said that. It's exactly what you'd expect. So I will say that. But it's funny because I was surprised no one said this yet. Batman '89. Yeah, that is by far. Mm-hmm. For a while it was Dark Knight, because that is an amazing film, and I think that even though I've softened on it a little bit, not because it's bad, but it's just because I think it just kind of over time of rewatching all the Batman films and new films coming out, you kind of appreciate the classics, and a little more. And again, I think it's probably number 2, honestly, but my number 1 is will forever be Batman '89, and I think that is just every time I rewatch it. I rewatched it last year with some friends of mine. We were on Skype, and we were all just actually John Brearley was one of them, a BOF member, and we watched it, and I just remember thinking, I just love this movie. It just feels so timeless to me.
Yeah. Just wait until you watch it in 4K when you get around.
Oh, I'm watching it tomorrow. Cannot wait. I honestly can't wait. And I just like the animated series, it feels timeless. It feels you could plop that movie in now and it would work. And again, not a perfect movie by any means, but it has a special place in my heart for being this film that it brought me to the character even closer to what I thought comic book films could do. And as a Marvel kid growing up, that was what I aspired to be, was Batman '89. Forever. Like, not me personally, but my love of my superheroes. I wanted them to be on the level of Batman.
Mm-hmm. I think.
And you go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I think there's something like we were talking about the animated series. I think that movie just gets put on a different level for me. Like I can't go right to and say, oh, I got to pick Batman '89 because I've seen it probably more than any of the other films. Yeah, so I go, my knee jerk reaction can't be Batman '89 because I can't even quantify how special that movie is. Like it's its own thing. Like if that movie's on TV, I have to sit down and watch the whole entire thing front to back. There's no like I'll put it in for 10 minutes. Like you watch all of '89.
Yeah. I pulled out an old VHS TV combo like 2 years ago, just so I could rewatch Batman '89 on VHS and just to have that experience again. I even tweeted a little bit about it so I could see all the the pre-commercials with, the Diet Coke commercial and
DC
and where the Warner Brothers ball cap, the commercial. Yeah, it was so good. Like, I could have watched it in, Blu-ray or whatever, but I was like, nope, I want to watch this VHS. It's going to be awesome in retro.
And the thing is with Batman 89 is that, like I said, it really captured Batman the first time that I think the most accurate Batman at that time, obviously, and took up until Nolan to get a little bit more even grittier than what that was, but still it's a good representation, and that's why it's timeless. It's just a great representation of the character, and it's not too dark, it's not too light, and that to me is what Batman is. It's literally the middle of the dark and light, and it can, he's not going to be murdering people. He's not scary, but he's not a cartoon character either. Like, again, forgive me, everyone knows I love 66, but he's not 66 either. It's that blend of a perfect balance of dark and everything. So yeah, 89 I think is an incredible film, and obviously Nicholson and everyone does an amazing job. And I will say, I don't want to complain about the movie for a second, but the only thing I'd ever change about that movie, and this is honest to goodness truth, was have the Joker be a little more of a threat physically.
I can see that.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Because the fact, like, because when because
in the comics, like, when he starts fighting, he's like formidable.
He's
dirty.
Yeah, he's obviously not as good as Batman, but he at least can, put up a fight. Yeah. But even Ledger's Joker, I felt like didn't do that good of a job against him physically either.
At the end when he's like beating him with the cane and sicking the dogs on him.
Beating the dogs and stuff like that, Yeah, but that's not one-on-one. I mean, at least I agree with you that he at least, it seemed like he got him off his game a little bit, so he was able to kind of beat him up with a crowbar. That was at least kind of interesting. But at least with Nicholson, he punches him in the stomach and goes, "Ow!"
Yeah,
really. So that to me was what. The only thing I would change is make Joker be a little more formidable physically, but at the same time, I think it's almost perfect. So there you go.
Sweet. Preach. Moving on. Second to last list. Favorite Batman item. What is your favorite Batman item?
Is this
Ryan Haas?
Oh.
In your possession, everything that you have. What's your favorite Batman item?
Could I pick my collection of all the copies around the world of Batman Dark Tomorrow video game?
You said all around the world. No, what is your possession?
My possession. Okay, so the real thing that I wrote down, I don't know if you'll still approve this one, but I wrote down, I got one of my bigger collections of Batman stuffs is, I like my Batman black and white statues. Because
those are nice.
They're really cool. I mean, it's just like a really nice, like, premium kind of collectible that's not like, and they're not like too expensive, and they're not like cheap either, and they're kind of a good middle ground thing to collect, right? And the great thing about that series is that they're in black and white, they look kind of neat, and they're always based off of either a specific Batman story or more so specific artists' interpretations of Batman. So you've got a Bob Kane statue, you've got a Mike Mignola, you've got a Neil Adams, or you've got a Bruce Timm Batman, or I just recently got the Norm Brayfogle Batman. Like, there's all these different versions of Batman, and they all look completely different. And like, there's a Paul Pope. There's so many cool variants, and they look great next to each other. So I've just got a whole bunch of those. And
they're going to do the 100th statues coming out.
It's the Todd McFarlane. I got to get that one. It looks so good. It looks so good. And yeah, so they've DC Collectibles has done such a good job with that line, and it's great to see it like continue to keep growing because they've expanded, and they do more than just Batman. They do other characters, like there's the Bermejo Joker, there's a bunch of Harley Quinns, and there's like I've got a Neil Adams Man-Bat. So yeah, well, that's one of my more favored items in my collection. I would call it that collection. So
rock on. Rob Myers, if You are, you know what, I envy you, but I also feel bad for you if you have to choose one of your Arkham figures.
Oh my God.
Out of your 400. But anyways, what's your favorite Batman out?
I'm literally turned around. I don't know if you can hear me because I'm trying to talk into the microphone and stare at my Arkham collection. I'm a huge action figure collection. I've got some original art. A lot of my original art on the wall is, Tim Drake, Robin based. But I think I'm kind of do what Ryan did. I think like my favorite overall version of Batman, if I was picking one, I love the Arkham verse of Batman. I like the story that it was telling, but I think one of my favorite pieces is my Arkham Origins Batman action figure. I like the aesthetic of the Arkham Origins costume. I think a little bit more than some of the other ones in the Arkham series. I like the Arkham Asylum costume, but I think as far as an actual built solid figure, some of the Arkham figures can be a little brittle. Some of them don't like their arms moved right, but this, just from an action figure standpoint, it's just DC Collectibles just built a really solid action figure. I don't know if they've kind of hit the mark since then, but that's a really solid figure. So I'd like to say all of my 115 Arkham figures, but if I've got to pick one out of there without being too on the nose of saying the Tim Drake Robin, I've got to go with the Arkham Origins DC Collectibles action figure.
Sweet. I have that one. That's my favorite out of all the Arkham suits, which we said on the podcast.
Yeah.
But I have that figure too because I loved that look and I love that figure.
Yeah. Solid figure.
Sweet. Paul?
Well, technically, it's going to be the Batman Applause set that I'm going to order on eBay right now because I keep forgetting. And I'm not even kidding. I'm buying it right now for $15 free shipping. No,
okay,
dude.
I know, because thanks a lot, dude. Okay, so for real, there's two. I'm going to answer this kind of cheating because this is going to be. Honestly, because it's really stupid. I'm buying it now because I keep forgetting to order it. And I had these figures when 89 was being released. And I played with these things like crazy.
What are they?
They're the, help me out here, okay. Ryan. So they're the Batman Applause, right?
Yes.
Am I
it's a company that's made. Yeah.
Yeah. So what they are, these little figurines, they don't move. It's Batman with his hands on his waist.
Oh, yes.
And Robin's arms
and
are
you've
folded.
got the Penguin and the Joker and yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Not only that, but I also had the keychains as well, where Joker's like hanging on to the keychain and Batman's.
I've got the Joker keychain.
Yeah, and I actually took off the keychain to play with them as like action move because they don't move obviously, right? Yeah. But I love them. I remember my this is 88, 87 or 88 when this got released, and I remember I bought them with my dad's parents were in town, and we were hanging out, and I saw them, and I was like, I have to get these, and they got all of them for me. It was really nice, and I played with those things, guys. I think my little brother might have them still, but they're buried under their other toys, so. I just, when we were talking about them, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy them right now. And I need it because I've been buying old toys that I grew up with. Like I got this old Spider-Man car that's like, I got it for like $15 off eBay. I'm like, I lost mine and it looks identical. It's missing all the same pieces that mine had. So I have it now in my possession. So I'm buying things I used to have that I grew up with that I destroyed. It's just kind of my thing because I'm just living my own
I'll give you an example after you're done, but yeah.
All right. But yeah, so I'm being long-winded.
That's
I apologize. Fine. So I'm buying them right now so I can say that it's my favorite item because they were probably my favorite items growing up, and I meant to keep them, but I lost track. So I'm buying them right now.
Yeah. And when they also, and Applause also did other stuff they had like some plush figures for 89, and they also did a bunch of stuff for Batman Returns as well. And like you're talking about like rebuying stuff that you had as a kid is a thing. I just recently bought something that I always kind of wanted as a kid but never had. Well, or just maybe not even that. So I just the other day I was like, I want some more Batman Returns merch, And I bought an Applause Batman Returns coffee mug, vintage, like new old stock Batman Returns coffee mug that's never been used, just so I can, and I got it in the mail like yesterday. So just so like in the morning when I get coffee or want to make like a mug cake or something, I can put it in a Batman Returns cup. And I don't know, that kind of stupid stuff just makes me happy. And it's just the black and white Batman Returns logo, but just because I know it's like an authentic Batman Returns merch and it's like still good. It's a ceramic mug. It's fine. You know, like still use, I'm like, I could have used this back in 1992, but I am using it right now. So.
And if I had to choose something that I have on me right now, I don't have a lot of Batman stuff, but the only thing I would say that Chris always tells me is, oh, you have the Batman Year One graphic novel where it's like has like a special, it's like a limited edition apparently, or it's out of print or something. I have this version that he like raves about, and there's like, oh, people like love that. It's like the cover's kind of like half cut or something. I can't explain it, but I bought it and he was like, oh, it's a really sought after thing. I'm like, oh, cool. So I would say that because Klaus said that people want it. So there you go.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Mine is my bat shelf.
You picked a whole shelf? Oh, no. It's an actual shelf.
No, exactly.
I was going to say, what?
Not the whole thing. I mean, not like, I'm sending a picture in case you don't know what I'm talking about, but this was a gift from Manira of an actual bookshelf to hang up, and it's in the shape of the bat symbol, and it's got many shelves on it and everything. That is my cool. A prized possession of mine, because even if I didn't have anything on it, it'd still look badass just on the wall. But there's a little room to put stuff on there, little trinkets on it and everything anyway. That is fun to cycle in and out. And so
that's what'd be cool about it, is it like change the things you have in it.
Yeah, it's so nerdy, but I don't care because it's awesome. And like right now, I used to have like the I find myself putting the Lego Batman movie figures up in there. So I had like Mr. Freeze up in there and Joker and stuff like that. And right now I have Egghead in there. Egghead's my favorite from Batman 66. What, Paul? And
excellent.
And then I've got Clayface.
Exquisite.
Yes. Exactly. But that's my
excruciating this bit.
Bits.
That shelf is amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
amazing.
I love it. That's my favorite Batman item. And now we're on to the final of the night. This one is going to be a doozy. This is called the Mount Rushmore of Batman.
Explain.
What? Explain. Well, have you ever heard of Mount Rushmore?
Doesn't ring a bell.
All right, you're un-American. Get out of this country. Yeah, so this could be range anywhere, like anything of like the four Batman's universe, four most important characters. The four most important comic book creators, four most important Batman actors. Anything that you think that like is most if you had to put the top four people in Batman that had an effect in whatever your measurement of it is, who would it be? Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good, because Rob Myers is going first.
Wow, crap on a cracker.
Wow, you set him up, man.
Yeah, and I hate your
I don't know
soul.
if I heard you say that it did make sense. I'm like, well, hey, Rob, here you go.
Well, we're going to see if Rob understands the exercise here. No, Rob, that is the exact wrong answer.
Yeah. Actually,
So we're going to list four.
Yes.
Wow, we could really screw some people over.
Oh, yeah.
Mine, my gut reaction.
Oh, this is going to be even harder because we're not supposed to like have duplicates.
No, this one's exempt.
I think this one probably should be.
Should be exempt, yeah. So my first is going to be Chuck Dixon.
That's a great one.
Well, yeah.
Talk about the architect of Batman for the 90s and early parts of 2000. You've got, you can just list the whole horde of Bat titles he was writing. Detective,
That's the best description
Robin,
I've heard. Yeah.
Nightwing, Catwoman, and then stories that he was involved in, Nightfall,
Cyber Rats.
Contagion. The Cyber Rats. Check out ELTD podcast. But so yeah, Chuck Dixon has got to go down, followed by Denny O'Neil coming in the 80s. Just talk about being the architect. This is the chief engineer of getting all the places moved that would bring in people like Neil Adams and, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to throw an artist in here, Norm Brayfogle.
Yes, my boy.
I absolutely love Norm Brayfogle. It's hard to try and pick one of your favorites, but he was just a huge influence coming out of Batman 89, started delving headlong into comics, and there's Norm Brayfogle and Alan Grant's stories along with Chuck Dixon's. So that is my third, and my fourth, and he finally got his due to get his name added to the proper creator, a proper creator of Batman, and Bill Finger.
Oh yeah.
I think Bill Finger deserves to be. It's nice to see his name get Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. I think that with should be changed to the word and.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the core elements that have become all of these things, like the Batcave and the suit for Batman, for crying out loud, is Bill Finger. So we wouldn't be here without Bill Finger. So those are my four: Chuck Dixon, Norm Brayfogle, Denny O'Neil, Bill Finger.
And your report card would say, Rob does follow directions. So.
Yeah, I doed it.
Good. Well, his English isn't great, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Next up is Mr. Hermann.
Oh God. This is a tough one, man. This is tough.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you have to include Paul Dini from all this, because he really has helped introduce Batman to a whole different audience compared to, and again, nothing taken away from the comic creators, obviously, because the comics, I think, are the core of all these superhero characters for the most part because of that. But I think you really got to see the power of different mediums with Batman, with him specifically, because he really did write and created a lot of the new different areas of the Batman mythos, like Harley Quinn, and adding these different things. And he really, and him and oh my gosh, what's his name? Bruce Timm. I couldn't remember his name. Obviously, he's is a huge part of that as well. But I would say, for me personally, Paul Dini really is responsible for creating a lot of that stuff, and is just has done a lot of good for Batman. And like I said, I think this needs to be up there as a big architect of that, of shaping of what a lot of generations of Batman fans have learned, but even not even young generations, but older generations too. I mean, think about like people older than me still watch these Batman cartoons and love them, and then we're like, yeah, these are great. These are just as good as 66 or whatever. I mean, there's a lot of people that love the animated series because it was not really aimed at like kids. It was kind of like a show for everyone almost at this point. I mean, it was aimed at kids, but it became a show for everyone because it was so good and so well written. So I think Paul Dini is the main reason for it, in my opinion. So he'd be on there. This is so tough, man. Like thinking about all the architects of Batman. I'd say Denny O'Neil would definitely have to be up there, just because he created Ra's al Ghul and helped create a lot of these different characters that kind of brought in a more of an edgier version of Batman, even though it wasn't like the edgiest version we'd ever got at that point. It was definitely an important part of Batman, of kind of shaping him back into a more serious character. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if that makes sense.
Exactly
so I think he was important for that. Obviously Frank Miller. I think I know Frank Miller is not exactly a loved name in Batman fandom all the time. I know he's written some of the best stuff. He's written some of the worst stuff. I know too. Though I will say I like Dark Knight Strikes Again. I think it's way underrated. I don't think it's nearly. Hey, you know what? I just like BVS. I went in expecting to hate it and laugh at it because everyone said it was going to be garbage, and I went out saying, "But did I watch the same movie as everyone else did? I don't think it was that bad." And same thing with Dark Knight Strikes Again. I went in thinking, be honest,
you mean the Master?
I will.
The third Dark Knight?
No.
Oh, you mean
No.
Strikes Again, second
I
one.
Two.
Yeah, I meant Strikes Again.
Okay.
That's what it is. Yeah. Wow.
No, it's nothing personal. I just
No. But bear with me.
respect
So
your
I just throw up for some reason.
the reason why I read it, I remember looking at the pictures at when I was at. I remember I was dating this girl who worked at this Johnny Rockets in University Village.
What's a Johnny Rocket?
You don't even want to. So it's a burger joint. It's whatever. And she lasted there for like 2 weeks. That was a nightmare. That's a whole other podcast.
Can we make an 87th podcast where we just talk about random stories like this?
yeah. Johnny Rockets.
That's fine.
Johnny Rockets.
Johnny Rockets. Yeah. So I was waiting for her to get off, and there was a Barnes and Noble right next door, and so I went. And I wasn't reading comics really at the time. It was just right before I got back into it, and I remember hearing about the sequel to Dark Knight Returns. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember hearing about that. I picked up the art and I was like, ooh, this looks different, And I remember just being like, this looks kind of rough, and I was like, I don't know, this is gonna be for me. And then so I kind of put it down because Plastic Man was in it. I'm like, what is this? This is weird. And so I put it down and I bought it because I started collecting graphic novels. I went to I think Rob, you mentioned Half Price Books. Mm-hmm. Represent Half Price Books is amazing. I love that place. I bought it for like $6 at Half Price Books. And I was like, okay, I'll just give it a shot. God, why do you do this to me? So I don't know why we're talking about this on my Route Rushmore, but I'm going to, dang it. So you're going to listen to me, all right? Great. Every dang word I have to say. So I sat down and read it. I was like, this is not bad. It's all right. It's not great, but it's not terrible. It's not. I don't think it's as bad as people made it out to be. And it's not as good as Dark Knight Returns. Not even close, but it's enjoyable, I think. So. I don't know. I think Frank Miller has done great work. Obviously, Year One and Dark Knight Returns are, I think, obviously some of the best Batman stories ever made. And I think that he shaped Batman forever. I'd say more than Denny O'Neil, more than anyone, besides Bill Finger and Bob Kane. In my opinion, I think Frank. And I know it's easy to say that. I know it's so easy. But guys, let's be real. It's the truth. I mean, Frank Miller changed Batman multiple times, and yes, wrote some really weird stories about Batman, and wrote a story that was borderline racist and kind of about Batman, but not Batman and the Holy Terror. But
All-Star
Batman. There's some bad stuff out there too, but. For the most part, it's good, and I would say, and you can't undermine the fact of what he did with Year One and Dark Knight Returns. So I think Frank Miller has to be on there. And as my fourth architect of Batman, I'm gonna go ahead and say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say Tim Burton. And I know Returns gets a lot of bad rap, but I think Tim Burton for me, and this is my personal Mount Rushmore because he helped shape Batman. Talk about for other people, he introduced Batman to the mainstream again, and that to me is so important. When I think of what transcends everything, 89 transcended everything and was so big. And the fact that this little known director who directed Pee-wee's Big Adventure went and directed Batman and cast Michael Keaton, Mr. Mom, as Batman and made one of the biggest movies of all time. And basically put Batman on, whereas I think Frank Miller brought Batman onto a more serious comic level, and everyone started respecting him on a way different level of like, oh man, Batman's like, this is wow, right? Well, Tim Burton took that and made it like in the mainstream. So to me, that you can't undermine that, regardless of what Nolan did. And bringing saving Batman from obviously Batman and Robin, despite if you like Batman and Robin or not, he said Nolan did that, yes, but really to get Batman to Batman and Robin level, you had to have it at the highest point, and that was with Tim Burton, obviously with 89. So to me, Tim Burton it has to be on there. So yeah,
woo. All right, well, it's a good thing that our rule was exempt this round.
Yeah.
Because for me, let's see, head number one, Bill Finger, for reasons that Rob said earlier about like how how important he actually was in creating so many things that we know now for Batman. I don't need to go any further. Denny O'Neil, which Paul and Rob both mentioned, because I feel like he helped take Batman into such a darker, almost like more mature direction. He just took him in a big direction forward. Tim Burton, for all the reasons Paul just said. And then my last one would be Christopher Nolan, because he helped kind of revive Batman and helped make him, I mean, it's debatable on if he is the most popular superhero anymore. I think it's debatable that you could say it's Spider-Man over Batman now, yada yada, but like, he at least...
It is, by the way.
He brought Batman...
I'm kidding.
My Mount Rushmore of Batman is Spider-Man.
Yeah. Because of J.M. DeMatteis and Spider-Man crossover when Carnage and Joker teamed up. You heard me. I know my Batman through Spider-Man.
Oh, so good.
I mean, I don't need to explain anymore. It's Nolan. I mean, if you're hearing me say it, you know why.
He saved Batman. He straight up saved
Batman. He at least put him back in the conversation of the most popular superhero. Whereas maybe he wasn't before Nolan helped bring him back. So I think that's crucial.
I mean, Nolan helped. I mean, that's the thing. It's like Tim Burton, like, reinvented Batman and kind of transformed and kind of rebooted this whole genre of superhero films. Nolan kind of did the same thing again. Mm-hmm. Like, he brought Batman back to his roots. He showed us what Batman can be for a new generation. And like, for the whole movie industry, it's like, hey, this is what a superhero movie can be, and this is how you can reboot a franchise too. And
I knew from the get-go that I wanted Nolan on my list. Yeah. And then I'm like, well, Burton kind of did it first in a way. I need him on those. So I was trying to think of like on a macro level, because you know what? Yeah. Not everybody reads comics. I know it's hard to hear, but on a macro level of like the movie franchises themselves and how big they are, and they have the widest reach.
Yeah, they affect like more than just. They're not just movies. Like, they affect the whole.
Exactly, and I'm like, it's just Burton helped do it in '89 with his vision, and Nolan did it for 7 years. Like, and then Finger helped create all this stuff that is now just known to be associated with Batman, and then Denny O'Neil helped take it toward a different direction, a more mature direction, which later, you know, we associate Batman with more mature direction stuff. So that's my Mount Rushmore. Don't even need to hear Ryan Haas. Good night.
Pretty much. See you later.
Bye-bye. All right, Haas, this is you know what? No pressure.
I'm going to have
this is the last one of the last category.
Oh, man.
So you're supposed to be the main event.
He did this on purpose. I'm going to have the most boring Mount Rushmore at this point. It's so stupid. Okay, so
say Batmite. I dare you.
Yeah. 3 different versions of Batmite, and let's see, and Harold.
Paul. Yes.
Harold. So Clayface 1, 2, 3, and 4. How's that?
Done.
Yeah. Well, okay, for real, like, yeah, you're gonna hear some repeat names. So, Bill Finger is absolutely on my Mount Rushmore, just because, only because he was basically responsible for creating Batman. So, yeah, like, without him, we don't get all the Batman is not a character that lasts 80 years without Bill Finger, I guess is the best way to put it.
You guys have all seen the Hulu documentary, right?
Batman and Bill, yeah, it's super good. And even as a kid, when reading up on the whole thing, I knew how important Bill Finger was in terms of Batman's staying power and the world building and everything that like is iconic about the character. Kind of the seeds of it is all with Bill Finger. So we owe a lot to Bill Finger. It's kind of crazy that he ended up writing a couple episodes of the 60s show. I think that's pretty fascinating. I think it's the Clock King episodes.
Thanks.
Yeah. So those are pretty interesting to rewatch those with that in mind. So Bill Finger is on my Mount Rushmore. Denny O'Neil, yes, is on my Mount Rushmore. he and you know, he was both a writer and an editor. You know, don't forget that. So he was able to shape the character for decades. Like, he didn't just write one story or was an editor over one book or whatever. No, he was like part of DC. You know, whenever people talk about Denny O'Neil, they say legendary editor Denny O'Neil or legendary comics book figure, you know, Denny O'Neil, for a reason. Him along with Neil Adams, helped bring Batman back to his dark roots in the 70s after the 60s show. And if they don't do what they did then, you don't get The Dark Knight Returns. You don't get Year One. You don't get Batman 89. You know, those things don't happen until they kind of bring Batman back to, you know, his original conception and stuff, and kind of reaffirm why the character resonates with people, and kind of why all these things that had kept him around for so long. So that was just as a writer, you know, early on. But then once he becomes an editor, he's able to kind of keep that in the back of his head and make sure that the comic books can all kind of reflect that. So then he gets to be involved in orchestrating giant storylines like Nightfall or like No Man's Land. And those are these really like huge projects that are definitely era defining in terms of like the comic book stories. And you see how those stories lay the groundwork for other forms of Batman media. You see those elements of those storylines pop up in movies and games and stuff like that all the time. So because of what he was able to do to help reinvent the character, and because he was able to do it as an editor for so long, like Denny O'Neil is absolutely on the list. Oh yeah, and he created Ra's al Ghul. So
Ra's,
or you know, co-created Ra's al Ghul.
Whatever his
Raish.
pronunciation is.
It's Raish.
Come on,
Ra's.
The demon.
Tomato. Who cares?
Yeah.
Same thing.
So number 3, yet another familiar name. I will also put Tim Burton on the list because of the Mount Rushmore of Batman. Even though he's like, you know, either super humble about it or super like, yeah, I guess I made a Batman movie. You know, like, but I mean, I don't think it can be understated how essential his vision was at the time. If you ever hear executive producer Michael Uslan talk about the road to getting the rights to even make Batman 89, to get the film rights for Batman, he does a really good job of explaining what the general public and the movie industry's kind of thoughts, and not only the movie industry but the comic book industry as well, what everybody's like general thoughts was in terms of Batman as a media property beyond just comic books. And it was dire. It was like super dire. Like nobody cared. Nobody thought that you can't make a serious motion picture in the theater about Batman. It's just goofy. It's silly. It'll never work. Like, you know, all these things that we take for granted today started there. And you needed Michael Uslan, somebody like him, to kind of come in and get the rights, but you don't get a movie that proves everybody wrong without Tim Burton. And, you know, he was the one that decided, you know, I'm going to make Batman serious. I'm going to like bring him back to his roots yet again. That's usually the thing that people, you know, successful things usually do. And then just casting Michael Keaton, all these kind of seemingly at the time out of left field choices. I mean, he was looking at it from his own angle because he wasn't even a huge comic book fan. He was trying to think of it as a filmmaker, and I think that was so important in terms of adapting the character. It was semi outside of the purview of a comic book person just coming in and doing it, because he was like, well, I don't need to make people believe that this could happen. But he needs to approach it in a way that was different than like let's say like Superman with the Richard Donner Superman. It's like, well, they had to convince you a man could fly, but for this movie you had to convince somebody that somebody was crazy enough and had a reason to put on a bat suit and punch people in the face. And Tim Burton his hands in Batman 89 just kind of, it just laid the groundwork for the blockbuster superhero movie. And again, it's one of those things where it goes beyond just Batman. It's Batman and it's the movies, and it affected the industry, so it affected a lot of stuff. So that's the third one. The fourth one is kind of a weird one. And I'm just going to put just Batman fans on there because, yeah, it's kind of weird. I'm just going to put Batman fans, which, us on this podcast, because I was thinking about it and I'm like, all this stuff happens and we love Batman so much, but, where would Batman be without fans? Like, they don't make all this stuff for nobody. It makes money. We support it and we want to see it. And there's a reason why Batman has lasted 80 years. It's because he's popular. Why is he popular? And just because people love Batman. And I don't think that we get as strong content without all of the Batman fans consuming the content, responding to the content, talking about the content, like we do week after week after week, and the way everybody's done for 80 years. Without fans, you don't get, this is kind of an interesting thing, like without fans speaking up and, now I don't want to say complaining about things, but letting their thoughts be known, you don't even get some of the more mainstay things about Batman. It's because of fan outcry back in the day that Batman doesn't use guns. Like after, back in the 40s when they had a couple issues where Batman used guns, he had a bunch of angry parents or like readers writing in saying that they didn't like that, and then and through the DC's editor at the time, they kind of had a discussion about it and decided, you know what, we're not going to have him use guns, and then that kind of forced him to come up with a creative reason why, and that's kind of stuck around to this day, and it's like a core tenet of the character. So it's just a kind of thing that I wanted to bring up about just Batman fans, because Batman fandom is so interesting, and the character is, I think, overall is stronger because there's a fandom around it. And that's always been something that Batman on film in particular, I think, has been always good about being a part of and facilitating. And, that way we get to do things like this. We've talked for over 2 hours about Batman, you know what I mean? And we can do it for 200 more hours. So, Batman fans on the Mount Rushmore of Batman.
Good choice.
We did it. We completed. We did it, guys. I mean, we did it.
Wow.
We did it.
We did it.
Hooray.
Yeah.
What?
And
a
that is
Batman
part
day.
one.
That's part one.
Wow.
We didn't decide how many parts, but part one, complete.
Nice.
Wow.
That was a lot of Batman talk.
That's definitely a lot of Batman talk.
And it's just interesting to hear four people have just such a, and this just shows the depth of the Batman character, that we come from just different walks of life, ages, and we all have our little Batman subsets that we cling to, but at the core of it, talking about all of us, like, we just love the character, whatever incarnation he happens to be in, animated movie, TVs, t-shirts, whatever that is, it's Batman. He deserves to be celebrated like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that he transcends so many different mediums, and it's incredible. And there is no right or wrong to loving Batman, and everyone connects to a different medium or different, or even within the medium, different things within the medium, right? So it really shows you the just how versatile Batman is as a character, and how he survives so many different ways, and so many people get introduced to him so many different ways, and it's amazing. So it's a really crazy to see everyone's different backgrounds and their tastes and whatnot. It's really, really fascinating.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Like, you know, even though Paul, you're the primarily Marvel guy, you've had so many, you know, experiences with the character. It's kind of like, you know, he transcends so much of the, you know, the overall comic book superhero genre. You know, maybe even more than I will say more than Superman, I would think in general. So,
yeah. No, I think Batman, I think Spider-Man and Batman are definitely the top superheroes right now, and I love Superman. I'm not trying to rag on him, but I think Batman and Spider-Man, you know, fight back and forth between 1 and 2. I think it's sometimes one's over the other at some point, but let's be real. I mean, when Batman Begins and Dark Knight were coming out, I mean, there was no one bigger than Batman. Like, Batman was number one. Yeah. So yeah.
Cool.
Preach.
So, did we do good, Lauer? Did we fulfill your need to complete lists?
Yes.
All right.
8+ all around, boys. I was ready to settle for a B, B-, but you knocked it out of the park.
Nice. So, hopefully, everybody listening to this will be listening to it on Batman Day. Are you guys going to actually do anything for Batman Day? Have you thought about it?
I have to go to a wedding.
Batman bow tie.
I don't have one.
Dude, you got some time. Go find one.
Have one? Get one.
Listen, I actually do have Batman panties, so I will probably.
You've talked about that
Saturday.
Before.
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
I have a pair of Batman panties. I don't know. If I wear a tie, I do have a Batman tie clip.
There you go.
But if I don't wear a tie, I mean, the Batman panties are going to be worn, period. So there we go. That's my way of celebrating. And if I can get somewhere to get something, no, you're not. Somewhere to get something, I don't know. Just because I feel like it's my excuse to go buy something Batman.
It is.
Yeah, but it's Batman Day.
I think
Batman's
the comic book stores
that gets a day every year.
Yeah, I know, but I think the comic book stores have some special issues of stuff.
Yeah, what is it? The Batman Who Laughs. There's a special edition cover
and
exclusively for that, and then there's another like
the Nightwalker.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys read that book. I was kind of like, I don't really need to hear like this is a story taken out of Gotham, like Bruce Wayne grown up before he's Batman. But I ended up renting the actual book from the library, and it was surprisingly good. And then I'd heard that they were doing it in a graphic novel form, and I think that comes out in October. I don't know, whatever the first Wednesday in October is. I think that's when it comes out, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they adapted it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it's like the first chapter is what's going to be free at comic book shops. So I'm going to pick that up.
Yeah.
Everybody else do because it's free. And it's also right now, actually, it's available on the DC app to download.
Oh, there you go.
Free.
Cool. And
DC Universe, DC Comics.
Right.
Okay.
I might check out Barnes & Noble. They always tend to do the bigger Batman Day events. Hopefully I can take my daughter to one and have her have some fun. I think they have some kids stuff there too as well. And every time something like this happens, I always think of Paul because I think they're going to have or maybe it's already up, just a giant Comixology sale for Batman Day.
Yeah.
Oh, it's out. It's already out.
And if I somehow end up at Best Buy and spend $90, I know who I'm blaming.
Ooh.
Lauer, you're going to do it.
I am.
It's great.
Let's be real.
You
have to do it.
Checked, the Best
Spend
Buy
that college money one more time.
Yes.
They have it in stock.
They do.
You just checked?
Best Buy. They have it in stock.
Buy it now. Have them hold it for you, dude. Dude, for me, here's the deal. I take those things very seriously. I will just say put it off to the side or buy it now or whatever, because you just never know when you go in and it's gone. You're like, and you have to pay like an extra 40, 50. Yeah, exactly. I just don't waste time. I'm telling you, people, I just have this in my bones. This is going to be a set. If you don't buy it now, you're going to be like, why didn't I buy that I could have spent $100. I'm kicking myself right now for not picking up the second Spider-Man Superman magazine, like Treasury edition, the original. I bought the first one. And my wife was like, well, why don't you get the second one? And we had some money, but I was like, I don't want to spend all our money, and this is a while ago. And she was like, she gave me the permission to do it. I'm like, no. And now I'm like, why didn't I do that? That was so dumb. No, exactly. So I'm telling you, if you can do it, you're not going to, hurt, your significant other is not going to, beat you over the head with something if you buy it. Just do it. If you're a huge Batman fan, don't waste time. It's a beautiful set. Do it.
We had made plans to hang out with my cousins before I knew that Batman Day was going to be. We had picked this day, and I think we'd kind of moved the date for a little bit. Once I realized, Batman Day's on that day, and they're geeks like us, but they don't get a chance to get to comic book shops very often. I asked my wife, I'm like, do you think they would want to go, just run around some comic book shops so I can get some? The whole idea was, we're going to hang out, we're going to watch some movies and geek out. So she's like, float the idea to him. And I said, do you guys want to, it's Batman Day on Saturday. I don't know if, I barely got that sentence out. They're like, yeah, let's go. So they're like, we don't get a chance to get to comic book shops. So we're going to drive to some really nice shops. And the thing that sucks, out of the 5 shops that I have around me, I've called hey, you doing anything for Batman Day? They're like, nah, we really don't get a lot of people coming in. It's a lot more work than it's worth. And I can't believe this is still going on. So now we're not doing anything. You're not going to have any discounts on any Batman stuff. They're like, I don't know, maybe 1 shop out of 5 is doing something, and it's 10% off anything that has the Bat logo on it. So
that's awesome.
So I thought that was cool. But the other thing is, I'm like, well, that kind of sucks. But I'm going, but my cousins are coming along, and this is their chance to go to some really nice comic book shops, and they're beyond ecstatic. Like, can we talk about Batman the whole way up there? And I'm like that's going to be pretty cool, just to have that experience and to go to and one of them says he's never been to a comic shop before. Gosh. So just to have him go do that, I don't care if there's no discounts here, for him to be able to walk into a shop and pick anything up, even if it's from Marvel.
Wow.
So, no, I'm kidding, dude. But just
Mr. Drake.
Yeah, that's right. Pick something that looks like a duck. But anyway, so yeah, that's my Batman Days, to be able to see it through somebody else and kind of have that smile, be like, hey, your first comic book shop. That's kind of a cool experience to have. So that'll be my day Saturday.
Sweet.
Yeah, it stinks because Saturday I've got a big day planned. I'm playing some music with some friends. Very excited about. I've got a music project I'm working on, so I've got that. But then right after that, I'm essentially going to one of my nephew's birthday parties and to another friend's kid's birthday party. So I'm not going to be able to celebrate Batman Day fully probably till that night, and I'll probably fall asleep watching Returns on 4K or something like that. So.
Still. Great.
Yeah, it'll still be fun, but tomorrow will be more my Batman Day because I'm watching 89 with my buddy, so that'd be cool, even though it's not whatever. And by the way, I've seen people be like, is it everyday Batman Day or is it everyday Star Wars Day? It's like, you know what? No, it's not. Every day is not Batman Day or Star Wars Day or Spider-Man Day or whatever day. Because you know why? Because I have to work.
Exactly.
I have to go to work and and do stuff I don't want to do, but I do it because I want to make money to buy those things for Batman Day. So when you act like every day is no, it's not. Okay, let's be real with you. Okay, some days there's football days, for me. Okay, so that's what happens. So don't act like you're. These days are above you. It's have some fun in your life and also be real. You're not going to, every day is not that day. You may partake in that thing for a little bit, but you're also, not going to dedicate the whole day to it. Maybe you have Batman every day, every other day, or Batman once a month, or sure, maybe, but come on, stop acting like it's above you.
Hot take.
Or below you, or whatever. Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Oh, Herman.
Sorry.
He's cheesed.
Sorry. I hate that whole, I understand. Listen, I get it. I get it. You don't I don't get it. It's you want to be all be all.
I just
whatever.
like the extremes. Listen, I get it. Okay. I get it. I get it. I get it. But,
I know.
But I'm with you.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Thank you.
People
Thank
need
you.
to calm
Thank
down.
you. Exactly.
Not you. No, stay fired.
No, never you.
Yeah, calmer than you are.
I get it. I understand.
Oh man. Well, I guess maybe we should do some plugs and get on out of here. Why don't we?
Get on out of here.
Why don't we start with Mr. Paul Hermann? You got some great stuff to plug this time.
Man, thank you. Yeah, so I guess please follow me on Twitter if you haven't already at Hermann22 with 2 N's, aka P Thug. And I started a brand new podcast with my good friend and alumni of Batman on Film, Chris Clow, the Mr. Clow, King of Cranes, for some of you that might remember that term. So we started this new podcast called the Comic Binge Podcast, and we are on Apple, iTunes right now. I'm not sure if we're on Google. I think we're just on iTunes at the moment. But we are also on Twitter this is at Binge Comic. And I would love for you all to follow that there. Basically, it's pretty self-explanatory. Me and Chris take a title or a character or a writer, and we kind of binge a little bit on that subject, and then we basically talk about if we want to continue the binge, if where to go. And it's basically the whole show is designed around the comics, just promoting the comics medium, because there's so many great subscription services like Marvel Unlimited, DC Universe, Comixology Unlimited, and we want to have people utilize those to the fullest and really get the comic medium going, because it feels like the comics are growing, definitely, but I feel they could be even bigger. I feel like comic books are still regarded as like, oh, there's comic books or whatever, and even though they're the characters that were created from the comic books are making billions and billions of dollars, the comic book medium isn't growing any more than it needs to be. Like it's growing, but it should be bigger. And I feel that we need, as a lover of the medium, I want to promote it as much as possible. And these comic book subscription services are so amazing right now, and I want them to be utilized. And I just want to be out there and promote the medium. And so I want people to be welcomed, and who maybe have trouble, like not knowing where to go and use these subscription services completely. That's what this whole podcast is about, is using your subscription services to the fullest. We just did Superman. I forgot the issue numbers, but if you go to the show, Chris picked it out, and my next one is going to be Doom 2099, the Warren Ellis issues, 24 through 29, and he goes beyond that, but we're just going to review those issues and talk about them, and if we're going to continue it. This is the first time I'm announcing that here, so it's exclusive. The next episode, just for you Batman on Film fans. Yeah, I don't know. So, good lucky you. You guys. No, but seriously, I'm really excited. We're going to record in a couple weeks. So go and read those issues, and then we can talk about where to go afterwards, and about Warren Ellis. So sorry, I'm going long-winded here. I just want to really talk about this episode, this new show. So please follow us on Twitter at Binge Comic Binge Podcast, and at iTunes. Please check it out, and thank you for having me on the show, everyone. I've had an amazing time. Right,
awesome. Yeah, and I listened to that first episode of that show. Is super good. It's everything you would expect and more. You. I mean, just that's the pitch. It's Chris Clow and Paul Hermann talking about comics for an hour. Like, what's not to love?
Exactly.
So, Rob, what do you got?
We've got nothing special going on. Oh, yes, we do. We are a week away from the 100th episode of Robin Everyone Loves the Drake comic podcast. I can't believe Ryan, Terrence, and myself have made it to 100 episodes. So you can find us at ELTD Podcast, and it's going to be quite the episode of us doing basically just a retrospective of the 100 episodes or the 99 episodes that have come before, and just the people that we've interviewed or stories we've talked about, the silly things that Terrence says or the misturn of phrase that kind of sounds innocent that I might say, and then Terrence puts a little spin on it and makes me realize, well, now that just sounds dirty. But so we've got that going on, and that'll be Wednesday, September 25th is when the 100th episode launches. So go check it out. And you can also follow me on Twitter at DrummerRob10. And I love being part of the BOF family whenever I get a chance to. So thanks for having me on. This has been a very, very fun episode.
Yeah, I knew it would be. Lauer, plug, please.
You can follow me on Twitter at Lauer_Ryan.
Is this your real voice?
Like lower. No. I can keep talking like it, though.
Please do.
That's at Lauer_Ryan. Lauer spelled like lower. That's all I got. Do.
You don't have anything on BOF that you've written?
Not recently. Like the beginning of September is when comic reviews were up. But I guess actually, I think the next review that'll come up will be the last Wednesday of September, and Curse of the White Knight, issue number 3 by Sean Murphy.
My goodness.
That guy is aces.
Is it good so far?
Do no wrong. Yes. It's got your boy Azrael.
I know.
And I don't like Azrael as a character. Sorry, hot take. Whoa. I like what he's doing.
You're not supposed to.
It's definitely a hot take.
Oh. Yeah, I like what he's doing with him in this version, so it'll be cool to see what he's up to. But yeah, so far so good.
Great. Well, you can follow me on Twitter, of course, at SMB_Ryan, and the Batman Podcast Network at BatPod Network. And, Lauer was talking about Azrael. He doesn't like that character, but boy, I sure do, damn it. And
I'll still listen. I'll hate listening.
And I'm making a podcast all about it. So that's going to be the Agent of the Bat podcast, which you can follow on Twitter at Azrael Podcast. It is now recording. We are trying to record and bank a few episodes before it gets officially put onto the feed, but we have recorded 3 episodes so far, and so just go ahead and follow it, and then when the show actually becomes live, you will know when that happened. So that wraps up today's episode. For Paul, Rob, and Ryan, I'm Ryan. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey now! You've been listening to the Batman on Film podcast, a proud member and the sponsor of the Batman Podcast Network, batmanpodcastnetwork.com. You can listen to the BOF podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, TuneIn, and wherever good podcasts like this one can be found. Want to advertise on the BOF podcast? Go to advertisecast.com/the Batman on Film Con podcast. Follow Jet on Twitter at Batman on Film and on BOF's Facebook fan page at facebook.com/jet.batmanonfilm. Email Jet via jet@batman-on-film.com. I'm announcer Rachel. Thanks for listening.